This broadcast is brought to you by Logitech G, Motorsport Australia, Playseat, The Gamesman, OG Gear, SimSpeed TV, Speed Cafe, and the Australian Sim Racing Group.
Hi guys, Lockie Dalton here from Tickford Racing. We're in our Wildcard Gen 3 car. Something really cool, what we've got here is our MPI sim wheel. So configured with our Logitech button box. As you can see, it is identical to our Gen 3 wheel. Really cool for the sim world and the supercar world as well. Can't wait to get home and use this. As you can see, you can nearly configure this exactly the same as we would have our supercars. So exact same material, something I'm really keen for.
Hi, I'm Jado Jada. I currently race GT3 in Australia. It's a cool brand. The socks and the gloves are quite cool, and it's good to use on the sim. High quality materials, and most importantly, comfortable. Quite cool to feel all the bits doing their job, and that's good.
We are gaming fanatics. Our goal has never been to just play games. We think it's much better to feel like you're actually in the game. This feeling is what drives us as we create world-class gaming chairs. Our one aim, give you a brand new gaming experience. Help you move in perfect sync with everything on screen. Make sure you're having a ton of fun. It took us decades to achieve this, and we're still not satisfied. Every day, we wake up to get better. We'll never stop designing the very best to help you be your best. When it's all said and done, our job's only done if you're in full flow and focused on your victory. May you win, and win big.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the next round of the Logitech V8 Pro Invitational for 2025. Tonight, we're heading off to Road America at Elkhart Lake, Plymouth, Wisconsin. And the reason that this is going to be an important one, well, we've got some stories to talk through. First and foremost, it is round number 6. That means at the end of tonight, we are halfway through the championship for 2025. But tonight, a lot of the talk is going to be about track conditions. Well, there's going to be some drama here at some point in time. I can see it. It's just oozing. It's bubbling away beneath the surface. Sandman, well, when we were setting off for this racetrack, I don't think the gumboots were packed in my suitcase. So I'm going to have wet feet tonight.
Yes, hi Scotty. Hello everyone, wherever you're watching around Australia or indeed around the world. That's it. There is a forecast of rain in the distance. So whether it hits us or not, there's probably a pretty good chance that it is going to hit us. It's just a matter of when. So we've got our best, detection skills as we can as far as seeing who can predict the weather anyway at the best of times. But we're going to be our best shot, but it's going to be an absolute cracker, isn't it, Scotty?
Oh, it's going to be something that's going to be one for the ages as we head into the first ever time that we get to unleash these supercars in anger on the wet tyre. Who is going to reign supreme has always been the question we've asked here at the Logitech V8 Pro Invitational, but tonight I think that one is going to be a different kind of question. The championship for 2025 has been won thus far by Jared Filsell and one other driver. It's been really, really consistent, his run at the title. And already at the halfway mark, we're basically sitting here and going, who is going to topple him? But the biggest question is, in the second half of the championship, we head into the Endurance Championship. He has yet again got to trust a co-driver. That was his undoing in 2024 in his bid for a championship title. And that is where Dylan Rudd gained the most points on the way to putting himself into the number 1 car for 2025. So realistically, with the endurance calendar on the cards, we head into a wet race tonight, and there's a lot of questions that are going to be asked because could we see rain from any one of the 3 endurance rounds as well? Remember, Phillip Island's going to kick us off. That's going to have a 500-kilometer round. Sandown will be round number 2, and then we'll be finishing off the True Force Endurance Cup from Bathurst. There'll be one further round to come after that as well. That won't be the closeout point of the championship. That's all to come in the back half. So when I was sitting down and I was looking at the numbers, I'm sitting here and going, well, race-wise, after tonight, we're 6 rounds for the championship. Distance-wise, we won't even be close to halfway through.
That's it. You throw in a couple of endurance races, like you said, Mount Panorama, 1,000 kilometres there. So distance-wise, you're right. But, man, I can't believe how quick the season's gone. And the dominance of Jared Filsell, like you said, it was his Achilles heel for Bathurst. The championship was almost run and done, but Bathurst bit him and he missed out. But he's had an incredible season this year, and it'll be interesting to see how he goes tonight for him and the rest of the drivers. And what are we looking at? We've all been talking about rain, and something that we haven't spoken about much in the G Hub, this little bad boy. I reckon we may be seeing the Logitech G safety car out tonight because of the unknowns. And with those unknowns, it's weather rolling in at the moment. So when we go to the track and the live pictures, currently the track's dry. So that rain is set to set in as the evening goes on. So we've got some sort of indication of when that rain's going to come, but everyone will be keeping an eye on those skies because that weather's going to roll in. The track's going to change, obviously, then it's going to get wet, and then you have to be on the right tire at the right time. And then you can see these conditions are going to have puddles to play with. But one of the big things that I know a lot of people are worried about is visibility. And if you watch wheel-to-wheel racing, especially Formula One, you see that visibility is massive. And that's usually what ends up causing the most drama is that people can stay on the black and on the shiny stuff. But when the visibility comes, and you'll see some of the vision that we've seen here from GT cars, when you're back in that pack and you've got that vision to play with, that's the thing that everyone's worried about. So that's going to play a key. We touched on the weather, and let's have a quick look at it. So this is a rough indication of what we got of how the weather's going to play out. So at the moment, it's dry. The cloud cover, it's coming over. So that's something that we're all watching. We're keeping an eye on the iRacing weather radar and how this is going to change. As we get into quali looks like there's a pretty good chance it's going to be dry. But then when the race starts, have a look at those indicators. We're looking at the cloud cover at 94%, the rain probability at 40%. But look at it, as the race goes on, it's going to get wetter and wetter. So this is going to play a massive key. We haven't seen rain in our Logitech G series this year. So this one, I'm hoping the teams were all ready for it. No doubt they would have been prepared and probably tried to prep themselves as much as they can for tonight. But it's the big unknown, isn't it, Scotty? Weather and rain and visibility.
We don't have ourselves a rain master yet, and tonight we might start answering that question just a little bit, it feels appropriate that we're looking over the WeatherTech gantry, because if you've got some tech that gets you through the weather in fine form here tonight, it would be important. Righto, what are we looking at in terms of race distance? Qualifying as usual, our 20 minutes standard. This is a longer racetrack, and that does give us a little bit more. Then we get into the race. This is where this becomes a big question mark. 227.99 kilometers is what we're on the journey for here tonight. How long that takes? Well, lap times can vary somewhere in the realm of up to 25-30 seconds a lap. That race distance may balloon out in terms of what we're actually looking at. So we're not 100% confident in terms of what the maximum distance available is to us. 70% fuel cap. We'll talk a little bit about that as we get into things, but 2 pit stops are still required. Just because we have a wet tire involved does not mean that you only have to do 1 compulsory pit stop. If you can make it on fuel on 1 pit stop, and believe me, if the rain gets heavy, that is possible, you still have to come back down pit lane for that second stop. Championship standings. We've just talked about these and how hard it is to try and track down Jared Filsell. Only thus far missing from his championship season a grand total of 34 points. That's all he's missed out on up to the end of round number 5 of the 2025 championship. Who is going to get set after him? Well, 1 race win, 200 points. The margin back to Josh Anderson, already 110 points. And have a look at the chasing pack. Andrew Gilliam starting to find some form. Saw that, always knew he was going to be strong back at Detroit Balliol. He's continued that run of form as well. Rattray White continues his clamber up the order, and Damon Woods, one of the quickest sim racers that we have in the country at the moment. Not as good in a V8 supercar as he is in other formats of his racing, but he is growing into that car race by race, lap by lap. And, well, if there's somebody that's going to be good in the wet, I'm actually looking at somebody who's got a multi-format style of racing style. It'll be someone like your Jared Fields, be someone like your Damon Woods. It'll be those multi-format drivers that are probably going to be good. I don't know, are you looking at that top 10, Sam? Does a name pop out to you?
The one thing I'm impressed about that one is Emily Jones sneaking into the top 10. We saw her, she raced her way into this series at the start of the season. So for her to be inside the top 10, that's a great effort. She's sort of flown under the radar a little bit. She hasn't been a constant front runner as far as getting podiums or race wins. You touched on it. It's only Jared Filsell and Brady Myers. They're the only 2 people who have won this year. But she's doing a great job and a job to sneak inside the top 10. She's the one that I'm keeping an eye on. That's pretty good.
Road America, located up here right on the Great Lakes region. Elkhart Lake is what this track previously was called. Now it's under the name and the moniker of Road America. And again, as usual, we have this great debate. What makes a corner and what makes the corner on a track map? 2 very different discussions when we go to America. Turn 2, that's not a corner. We will debate that to the end of time, whether or not, but it is on the track map for identification purposes. 1, 2, 3. Down through the Memorial Reign Street, there was a huge accident in Xfinity Series racing here a couple years ago when 2 drivers got into each other coming underneath the bridge on the run down the hill. Turn 5, talking to a couple drivers, Adam Briggs said Turn 5, very, very tricky. Keep your eyes out there. I'm having a lot of problems. Other teams also saying there's a lot of issues down at Turn 5 in the wet in terms of what the wet line looks like. Then you climb, you rise up to Turn 6, Hurry Downs, as it's called, Cresta Hill, really quick right-hander, back into a very slow left-hander, the carousel fast and flowing. You've got to make sure that you nail the exit. And the kink, V8 supercar, you're going to lift. There's not many cars you have to lift that kink in these days, but a V8 supercar is certainly amongst them. Canada corner, big old braking zone, another opportunity to get it done. Technical on the throttle through 12, 13, and into that final corner in 14. And you've got to get good drive off of that final corner, don't you?
Absolutely, and it's one of my favourite sayings, and I'm going to get to use it again tonight. This track has a little bit of everything. We've got undulations, we've got different types of corners, and like you said, the drivers that will be taking part in tonight's event will be thinking about how their car's going to perform in the wet, and are they going to be, going to be worried about pinching a left front or something like that and locking up a tyre, because in these slippery conditions, as we're predicting, that if they come a little bit later on, that's really going to play into the strategy of some of these race teams.
Yeah, and practice is now out of the way, and we're about to jump our way into the first of the qualifying sessions. Before we jump in there, though, we've again gone and had a bit of a conversation with all the drivers. Critical tonight, we're talking about wet weather. What's your confidence levels like in the wet? Andrew Gilliam, he's been on a run of form lately. Wet to dry, didn't feel all that confident, 4 to 8. Dry to wet, he actually felt not too bad, 8 out of 10. In the wet conditions, actually felt quite reasonable. Jordan Ross, out in the mid, done some wet practice, did some pack running, felt quite good. Jack Whittis, he said, hey, you give me a track with no spray on it, I feel great. You put me in the pack, absolutely terrible. What were the trickiest parts of the race? The thin, dry line. Andrew Gilliam talked to me about this, gave me a fair bit of detail on this one. It's very, very thin. Making sure when you cross over to a slick tyre, you keep it on the tram tracks. It's very, very important. Jordan Ross, vision, need that visibility. And Jack Whittis, fuel saving and safety cars. If it's only a 1 tank of fuel that's got to be added to this car, that could be critical. Where does the safety car play its way into it? And there's actually a fair bit in those 3 discussion points. 3 drivers, 3 very unique takes on the way the race is going to play out.
Yeah, and I love the comments there, like, the vision by yourself, but then when you get in the pack, that's certainly key, and that's a big change, It's easy to spot your braking markers and, turn in and be careful when you're by yourself, but when you've got a wall of spray in front of you, that's where it gets difficult.
Yeah, dry qualifying as well will be the big thing. And I talked to a few guys as well. They also said the problem with this one, we had to do a lot of prep work for the wet running, and that meant our dry setup, it really got neglected. So qualifying could be a little bit of a mixed bag. Then again, the guys that qualify well may not necessarily have a great race car. They could have invested a lot of their eggs into the qualifying basket, get some track position, which will always be a big thing. Andre Heimgartner out there and circulating as well. He will be very, very key to keep an eye on for what his real-world exploits can show us on a wet track. That will be something to keep an eye on for certain. And the pack already feeding back down into the second half of the lap and getting themselves prepared for a flyer.
Josh Anderson, he's got a new logo on his bonnet, of course, supporting him in the sim world, but also in his real world racing commitments too. He's racing in the 286 series, and he took part on the weekend and didn't do a bad job actually. And it's good to see that his real life sponsors carried over onto the team at TTR on his bonnet. So no doubt he'll be hoping for a decent result. And what a year he's having, isn't he? Like P2 in the championship. I don't know that anyone, and this is no disrespect to Josh Anderson, I don't know that too many people would have predicted him being in the top 2 coming into the halfway mark of the season.
No, he's certainly having a really, really quick year, and it's just, you're just sitting there and you're waiting for that big result when he will finally pop out and show himself at the top end of town. And for the pack that's following on behind him, Griffin Gardner, Dylan Rudd, Damon Woods, all up and about there as in that first group in terms of qualifying. And behind him, Kobe Williams, as they get themselves settled in. Run down the hill on lap number 1. Lap times as well for qualifying. We are capable of getting under a 2:09. That was in a little bit cooler conditions a little bit earlier on. And your timing graphic showing that practice was in a lot cooler conditions in the early morning, and then qualifying here in the sim at the moment, 12:30 p.m. in the sim as Ando tips it in, up and over the crest of the Hurry Downs, and the run down to turn number 8. Car looks nicely planted, I would have to say, in the first half of the lap, but as usual, on board, shows a little bit of a different story, a little bit more wheel work that goes on from outside the cockpit.
I love this camera angle that we've got here on SimSpeed TV. I reckon a real-world view. V8 Supercars must be watching our broadcast because I reckon they pinched our view over the weekend. If you caught up with the Supercars action, that this is a great camera work, and it shows you just the wheel work that Josh has got going on at the moment. Thankfully, and what he's loving at the moment is that clear bit of racetrack, so he can really focus on his braking zones. So we might have to hit up the Supercars network and say, hey, we want some royalties for that camera shot. That they loved it so much they put it in the real world broadcast.
Can't complain. That's the benefit of the Sims. You get to test exactly where you want to put things. So, hey, look, if they're using the tools available to them to see what shots are on offer, all the more power to us as a sim racing community. Ando nearly stepping it outside track limits. No, he did breach track limits at the final corner. I guarantee you that would have been a clean lap to that point too.
Damn. He'd be kicking himself too, because it looked like you said, it looked like a clean lap, looked tidy. Unfortunately, we'll never know now. So the best thing you can do is just abort straight away, head into pit lane and put on a fresh set of boots and go again.
First lap times in. Dylan Rudd, 209.5 is where he's going to start off. That's a tenth of a second slower than his practice time. James Scott, 209.57 as well. He moves to the top end of the timing tree. Emily Jones cuts her way through in the midfield, 209.637. Here come the times, thick and fast. We've already got 10 on the board. Now it's out to 16. Myers now will go to the top. After success back at Detroit Belle Isle, he'll be chasing something here. Stenberg, 791. Gilliam from the rear end of the field at the moment. He's going to be one of the last couple of cars in the train. And I can tell you, there's about 10 cars in the lane as they come off the final corner. He'll run up the hill and see what he's capable of. What's the lap time going to be?
Should be a decent lap. He's not a bad steerer, old Andrew. Once he pull the times up, 209.6. So just outside the top 5. But look at those times, incredibly close.
And I did hear some whisperings and some murmurs that Dylan Pereira had some sort of issue. And we're hearing it might be a blown engine for the Synergy Sims racing driver. There it goes. Yeah,
No
engine
way.
has given up the ghost, unfortunately, for him.
So session over. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's heartbreak. That's on his first lap, so.
And the big thing for him, Sam, man, he's got to start at the rear end of the field now.
Oh,
We're talking about vision and visibility.
yeah. Oh no, that's your worst nightmare, isn't it?
And Brenton Hobson's also come on stuck on the first lap of qualifying. Into the kink. Yep. Yep, that's a little bit of grass. Fires into the fence on the right-hand side. Does he manage to keep it pointed in the right direction? He does. So back into the pit lane for him and recovers the session. That car is recoverable from there.
Get that man in a rodeo, eh? Holy dooly, he held on to that thing. Mate, he did a great job. Obviously, he's got damage, but enough that he can get back to the pit lane and fix it. But boy, oh boy, that could have been a lot worse. And if he'd nosed it in hard and lost an engine, that would have put him in a world of hurt. So,
yeah, same thing. Well, it just says to me as well, that's Hayden Veld having a bit of fun with the rear tyres.
Sorry, mate.
Well, think about 12 months ago when Hayden Veld rocked up here. And we put at the start of the season, what does everyone want to achieve from the season in 2024? He said P27 at Road America. After post-race penalties, he finished P26. I cannot tell you how many drivers were campaigning to have that penalty removed post-race. It's not often you get the entire community say we want a penalty removed just to see Bud finish in the right spot.
That's it, isn't it? That was absolutely a highlight. Us talking about that. That was absolute killer. So.
Bo Albert's also had some dramas. Gee whiz, there's a few guys. Sorry, my apologies. That's Brenton Hobson right ahead of him.
Oh, watch this. Hold on, what? Wiggle
And he's just going to keep it pinned.
He still plucked a gear. He kept his foot in it and plucked another gear as Hobo was having a moment in front of him.
And that was 13th place out of that lap as well. Out of 26 cars. Oh, Posey gets into the back of Tyson Broad. He's on a lap. He was going to have to abandon that lap no matter what.
Oh, is he going to make it back? Look at the damage to the car, too, in the back of shot, too. So, looked like he was trying to get out of the way, but then obviously it got a lot worse and nosed it in the barrier. There's a lot of damage to that Camaro. The fear for him now, obviously this lap's ruined for him, but the damage, have a look at that.
Yeah, he's going to have to just crawl it back to pit lane and see what he can do from there. Big thing, by the way, I was actually talking to Ryan Jones prior to tonight's racing action as well, and he said, what was one of the things that you wanted to make sure that you worked on for this round? He said not going off sequence. Well, guess what? He had an issue on his first lap of qualifying, and he has gone off sequence, and Pozzie's just arrived down here at speed. That's an interesting one for Broad, because he clearly looked up and saw him coming, and he's going to get out of the way, and Pozzie's just picked the wrong side.
That's, yeah. He's tried to give him the racing line, but he's already committed on that outside and he's moved in front of him at that speed. He couldn't pull it up. So, yeah, the stewards will have a look at that.
And for now, Kobe Williams, another one of those drivers who has yet to set a lap time. So it's Josh Anderson, Ryan Jones and Kobe Williams in this little group that will try and set themselves up for a lap time. So this is the drivers that are off sequence, remember.
Yeah, it's important for Ando's, what we're talking about, his championship title at the moment. He's in P2, so he really needs... He's still got 10 minutes up his sleeve, so it's not panic stations just yet, but we always... Oh, is he fired into the pit lane?
No. That is another lap aborted. Yeah, for sure.
Now we start to worry. I mean, all right, he's still got 10 minutes up his sleeve, but he really does need to get a banker and not think about it too much as we've still got traffic. Jake Maloney, he's on a hot one. You can see the teams and the drivers getting out of his way. It's still distraction, though. It's still a massive distraction. You've got cars in the grass, obviously, to get out of his way. But as a driver,
this is going to be a nightmare.
He's got teammate. Oh, he nearly drilled the back of his teammate. And one of the Lobs cars absolutely drilled Jake Maloney. That's Luke Rosella. And that's exactly what these teams are concerned about when everyone's checking up ready to start a lap and you've got other teams and drivers that are on their hot laps.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. Cannot afford to get off sequence in terms of the qualifying cycle. Remember, why does this happen for the viewers watching along at home? You get one great lap out of the tyres. You get one reasonable lap out of the tyres because over a 2-minute lap, it is nearly gone by the end of it. Temperatures and pressures are starting to go away from you. So it's very, very important to do one hot lap, get back in the pits. One hot lap, get back in the pits for a fresh set of tyres. So for these guys, that's what it's all about. You only get one lap in. We're halfway through the session. We are beyond halfway through the session, and there are a boatload of cars without a time in at the moment.
Sean McMurray having a moment there as we go to the replay. This is the OG gear replay. How many OG gear replays we've seen already? And look at the TTR cars in the background. And this is what he comes on a teammate. He's in through the grass. Luke Rosella's got he's paying absolutely no attention behind because he doesn't have to worry about it. He's ready to start his hot lap and gets absolutely drilled. So definitely not a fault of his own. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, didn't matter who was there. Somebody was getting cleaned up, unfortunately. Disappointing, but it is what it is. And they will continue on.
What hurts even more that it was his TTR teammates that were in the way, and that's what got him off on the grass. So, never mind. Oh, moment on the grass. Look at the left rear out there. So Sean McNamara still hold on to it. He's had a couple of wild moments in this lap.
Yep, still trying to get his first lap of the session in as well.
That doesn't look great. Have a look, another OG gear replay, and this is right on the verge here, on the ripple strip. Oh, he's onto the grass.
So that will be another lap time deleted for him.
Managed to keep it going. That's where Hobbo had the dance, all the gravel. Look at all the gravel on the racetrack there. And this is just a matter of where the teams are rejoining. Obviously, Luke Rosella rejoining the racetrack and got all that garbage on with him. That'll be interesting.
Worthwhile noting as well, Brady Myers has just gone to the top of the timing screens. He goes into a 209.381. Phil Sell will beat him though, because of course he will. My apologies. In the meantime, he'll jump back up to the point. Brady Myers slides down to P2. James Scott Madison down. It's up for Dylan Rudd in a P5. Bo Albert's in 6th place again. And yet again, Hayden Veld will watch on. Is this a flying lap for Veld? I believe it might be, given the fact that he hasn't set a valid lap time as of yet. So he will be off sequence in this track. There is more cars that have just fed out of pit lane too that are alongside these guys.
With teammates there that he can obviously have a word with. Kurt Stenberg in 17th. And obviously we're still waiting for Josh Anderson to bank a time too. There's Stenny at the wheel.
Can't believe Ando hasn't done a lap yet as well. But where he sits in terms of the championship.
6.5 minutes to go. And then, you know, like we touched on before, you throw in the mix of rain and visibility. That's the last thing he needs to say.
Yep. So at the moment, qualifying 6 minutes on the clock. Need to be out of pit lane. If you're rolling at a pit lane with 2 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock, you're not going to make it back for that hot lap. So I reckon probably about 3 minutes will be the last drivers to roll off a pit lane that will get a relative hot lap together. If you roll off a pit lane before then, after that point, you're not going to get a great hot lap in, but it may be just something you have to do. But now I'm just keeping an eye on times that are yet to come in. Sean McNamara back in pit lane. I think he might have just abandoned that session. Josh Anderson. Dylan Pereira, remember, blown engine in qualifying for him. Jack Wittes is also not set a time. Kobe Williams not set a time at the moment. Hayden Veld also not set a time. Ian Ford no time. Jake Maloney no time. And Josh Anderson at the moment on the bottom half of your screen on a current flying lap, and it looks like he might finally be able to get that one in. I have a feeling this might be his only lap of the session, by the way.
I jinx him. That last corner's tricky, and we've seen that's where it's caught out too. So a bit of a TTR vision there with Kurt Stenberg and Josh Anderson. So Josh on the bottom of screen, he's only got one more corner to go. And like you said, he hasn't banked a time. So this will be his first lap. He's got away with it. But where's it going to put him on the totem pole? We hold our breath across the line. A 9.4.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Actually, that's not bad at all. P5.
Yeah. Now he can breathe. Now he can breathe. If you can put yourself inside the top 5 or 10, you know, with only a couple of minutes to go in quali after the start that he had, I think he'll be quite happy with that. And see Stenny still on a lap here too. So he's back in 18th position. Still up on the wheel. I love watching these driver cameras. We're so blessed to have them in our series. And we encourage anyone, you've got a camera, then by all means get those feeds to us as he aborts this lap for Stenny. Yep. We love just seeing how these drivers go about their racing.
Well, that's enough time left. He has actually got enough time for one more flying lap as well. In terms of qualifying trim, again, list of drivers that we are waiting for a lap from. Sean McNamara, Hayden Veld, Jake Moyney, Glenn Postlethwaite, Ian Ford. Other drivers we're waiting on. Reminder, Dylan Pereira will not get a valid lap time in after the engine issues on his first flying lap. So now we watch, now we wait. Aussie cutting his way through the traffic. Up over the crest now. And that's such a technical corner on the brakes as they come up and over the crest. Out of 5 and into 6.
There's a lot to it. Look at that track map that we touched on earlier too. Oh, these cars are in the braking zone. They're just on the racing line, I should say. And although they didn't get in his way, but just distracted Glenn a little bit there. And that might have been an off track where that might cook his time. I'm not sure.
He is pressing on. I tell you what, if he did get an off track there might be an opportunity for him to just back off a fraction at the tail end of this lap, cool the tyres and just go again, because he won't have any other opportunities. So him pressing on says to me that this lap is still valid.
No, he's backing out, I think, is he? Yeah, he's let the TTR down, Madison down, go past. So that must have cost him. And like you said, he's still got 2 minutes in the bag. Not enough to probably get in the lane and have another crack at it, but we'll try and push on and see if he can rectify that.
Yep, coming to the final corner now to try and set this lap up. Again, very wide at the final corner. Had a lot of problems pulling the car up and pointing it in. Brady Myers is done. He will not have enough time to get back out there for the qualifying session. Posy comes in. Oh, would have just gone again, mate. Oh, he must be out of fuel. He must be out of fuel.
Geez, that's the fear, isn't it? You know, you don't have enough in the tank and there's still time on the board. Even on cooked, I said, you know, we say tyres, first lap, you know, is obviously the best, but you still want to push on.
Madison's out. He's put 2 laps on the timing board out of his runs thus far. There was 3 thousandths of a second between them. So that says consistency. That says that's about where his peak pace is, and now he's going to get a little bit of a tow from Dylan O'Shea just ahead of him. Run down the hill. Yeah, anything that you can find, any little advantage that you can look for. James Scott to Jared Philsell as well. Just over a tenth of a second. And one driver we're confident will not be taking pole will be Brady Myers, as he's already in pit lane. But the rest of the train that's in there, Emily Jones, another one, can't set a quick lap time. Greg Galt's back outside the top 10 as well as the first of the Evolution Racing Team drivers. Actually, have a look how deep in the field Rattray White and Damon Woods are. So whatever's with the Eclipse car this week, they just don't have pace in the dry. I wonder if they put a lot of effort into the wet setup.
Yeah, you touched on that. There's teams that have done that. They've concentrated on the wet. So, you know, if a bulk of this race gets really bad in the wet conditions, then that might favour them. So they're probably happy to take that little bit of hit maybe in qualifying if they've got a really good wet race car. So only time will tell.
And track temps up around 40 degrees Celsius as well, so it is quite a hot track. That's difficult. Try to prep for a hot track and then a wet track at the same time. Very, very tricky. James Scott will bring it down through Canada corner and the run through the final couple of kinks. He was very, very quick in Sector 2 relative to Jared Filsell. Oh, sorry, my apologies. Filsell was very quick in Sector 2 compared to the rest of them. He's going to get the run out of the last couple corners and the run up the hill. They'll all start seeing and soaring as the checkered flag waves on qualifying. Last laps from the session of Road America. Has he managed to improve? Indeed, Jared Filsell has. Now that's the time down there for them all to chase. The last couple of cars in the background are going to come across the start-finish line. Anyone put a time together? Andrew Gilliam does, but he's still 0.2 of a second off. He'll go to the front row. It's a Lobs Esports front row. At the moment, there is one more driver on a lap that potentially can shake up the timing. It'll be Tyson Broad for Orbit Drop Bear. At the back end of the field at the moment, 35th spot out of about, I think, 38 drivers in attendance here tonight.
How's the effort? Andre Heimgartner, 2 P16 at the moment. I think that might be his best qualifying of the season so far. So great to see that Andre's put in a good lap.
And that'll be very important as well. That's a long way forward to start in terms of the wet. The guys that are starting from 20th on back, you just feel for them because they're not going to be able to see anything. All right, Broad running out of the final corner. What's he going to be able to gain on the run up the hill? Looking for an improvement on a 2:10.474. By that metric, he might have found a slight improvement. Gains 2 spots.
Take it. Beautiful.
And
so that's it. Qualifying done and dusted. Yeah. And you can see the grey clouds are starting to roll in. And people will be looking to the skies as we get closer to the start of this race.
Yeah. And that might be the last of the heat that we see for the day. We have no idea what there is in store for us. But what we do know is that there is a strong chance of rain, and we do know that it was a hot qualifying session. And with that in the back of your mind, yet again, the Lobs Esports crew 1 and 2. Actually, my apologies. I think Josh Anderson just set a lap time, and he's actually gone in and knocked Gilliam off the front row.
Wow. Talk about leaving it till the last moment. He has. So Anderson, have a look at the time. So Jared Filsell and Josh Anderson, great job from Josh Anderson, pop it into P2.
Yeah, that time came right at the back end of the session. He started that flying lap as everyone else was finishing their final laps. It'll be Jared Filsell who takes another pole position. Good luck challenging him for the rest of the year in terms of outright pace. Josh Anderson lands it on the front row. Between him and Andrew Gilliam, there was only 12 thousandths of a second further back. Brady Myers will line up on row 2, meaning we've got a Lobs Esports TTR 1-2-3-4 as well. James Scott will be the first of the Chiefs Esports Club drivers to slot it onto 5th spot. He'll be lining up alongside of Madison down in the Trans-Tasman 77. We'll get back to row number 4. And yet again, similar combinations we were seeing ahead of them. More Trans-Tasman cars from Maloney lining up alongside the Chiefs Esports car of Griffin Gardner. By the way, Griff was on pole here last year and had that terrible getaway contact with Marcelo Rivera on the run out of turn number 1. Nearly stalled the car. Dylan Rudd is going to get it done from Wayne Burke to get inside the top 10. Great job by Wayne Burke with one of his better qualifying performances this season. Bo Albert was up in 6th at one point. Falls to 11th spot. Rick Kuznetsov falling up alongside of him on row number 6. Then we get back to the second of the Evolution Racing Team cars for Ethan Greig Gold. Luke Rosella was having issues and had contact in terms of the qualifying session. He will line up on 14th spot. Emily Jones slides back to 15th. We'll find a teammate alongside the 2 Trans-Tasman Racing Machines, 15th and 16th. 17th spot was Jordan Ross. Alongside of him will be Zach Rattray White. He's the first of the Eclipse cars. Then behind them, running out the top 20, Kurt Stenberg from Jake O'Reilly in a Vermilion Esports car inside the top 20. 21st spot and 22nd is going to be Damon Woods from Dylan O'Shea, Brenton Hobson and Adam Briggs, the first of the Synergy, second and third of the Synergy Sim Racing cars, 23rd and 24th. Sean McNamara at a 25th spot. We'll have Jack Widdis alongside of him. That's probably Widdis' best qualifying performance thus far in the series. See if he can continue to translate that. Brady Baldwin and Andre Youssef, 27th and 28th. We'll get back to the top 30. Will be Jake Blackhall from Lachlan Capel. Outside the 30, though, Ryan Jones and Brian Borg. Tyson Broad out of 33rd and 34th will be Kobe Williams. 35th and 36th is going to be Hayden Veld from Teo Sorono. 37th is going to be Dylan Pereira after failing to set his time. 38th will be Glenn Postlethwaite. Ian Ford will be the last cut of grid. So that would be 3 cars to fail to set a time in that session, which is very, very important. Time for the game has been grid walk, and of course, the driver taking out your play seat pole position will add another one to his tally for 2025. And Jared, mate, that car, I'm starting to feel like we might need to get a new fuel sensor fitted to your car. Is this the same situation going on over at Ferrari a couple of years ago?
No, definitely not.
Mate, congratulations on grabbing yourself another pole position. But the big thing is there is potential for wet weather in the offering. How much practice was put into the race set, and how much practice was put into the wet? And I guess the big thing is you wanted to stick it on pole position because now you got a clean track ahead of you.
Yeah, quite a lot actually. I think everyone was anticipating rain right now, but I didn't ever actually look at the percentage of when it's due. It might be due right at the end of the race, or probably as the race finishes. So yeah, that'll make it a bit spicy.
Yep, well, I can tell you there was a 40% chance of rain for any time from basically now onwards for the rest of the day. That was the smallest chance of rain we actually had for the race. But yeah, we're showing nothing in the offering at the moment, mate. Look, I mean, Road America, it's been a site, it's been a classical track that we've raced upon in terms of the supercars on the sim the last couple of years. How did the Gen 3 take to it? Was there much of a tinkering with it?
Not really, no. It's quite good balance here. The old car was heavily aero dependent on some of the corners, especially the high speed, but it feels pretty similar balance to what we rolled out last year, other than the carousel being a little bit slower, obviously. But no, the car feels great.
I was going to say the lap times are actually relatively similar. All right, mate. Well, congratulations on taking on pole position. Get the head down. We'll see you maybe at the back end of this one, and see if there's any rain in the offering.
Yep, cool. Thank you.
Righto. On the other side of the front row, it's going to be Sandman having a chat to Josh Anderson.
Yeah, caught up with Josh. Josh, mate, congratulations. P2 right at the final stages of qualifying, mate. You'd be absolutely stoked with that, especially with that brand new sponsor on the bonnet.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, no, I was blowing up beforehand because I don't know why I bought it the first lap, because it was quicker than all the other laps I did. And I was thinking, I was like, Josh, for F's sake, like, keep bottling it, keep carrying on. I was honestly in my own head. I was really angry at myself, and and luckily I crossed the line with like a second to go or nothing to go, and I was like, oh, this lap won't even. I was driving around thinking this lap probably won't count, but I'll just try and do a good job, and yeah, to get second's good. So I'm relatively happy with that, considering where we could have been. So yeah, just go racing, have some fun.
We thought you had some off track, so you had to abort, and so it wasn't until about 6 minutes to go in the session you managed to get P5, and then improve on that in the dying stages. Yeah, it looks like the car's pretty good to drive in the dry, but how do you think she might go if we see a little bit of rain later on in the season?
Yeah, it's like with the car, like, because the first lap I was going to do like 209.1, but I got lost 2.5 tenths in one corner. So I was like, oh, the track's pretty fast. Like, it's pretty similar to what we did in practice. Jared and Brady and Mads will all do 9.1s, 9.2s. My lap will be nowhere. And then I boxed, and then I saw everyone doing 9.6, 9.7. I was like, oh, you bloody idiot, Josh. So and then that puts you off for the whole session, right? You got traffic, I've struggled in the past to not get in my own head about that kind of stuff, but you just let it go and drive. So that's good. I think, Jared's been the benchmark this season, so try and stay with him and learn a thing or two. I'll be happy with that. And if you have something to fight with, then we'll try to fight. Rain, we'll see. I was pretty slow in testing in the rain, so I'm hoping it stays dry, but we'll suss it out.
Well, mate, I wish you nothing but clean vibes for the rest of the race, buddy.
Yes,
it's going to be an interesting one, and all the best. Hopefully we're talking to you in Victory Lane come the end of the night, mate. So take care, look after yourself, and go have a terrific race.
Thanks, mate. I would be stoked with that outcome. But let's see. It's got 35 laps. Anything can happen.
Good luck, mate. We'll
See you, mate.
all the best. We'll let you go concentrate. So that's
Yeah, no worries.
Josh Anderson, boys. He's getting ready. P2 and Scotty, I think you've gone down to P10. We've caught up with Wayne Burke.
Yeah, and whoever set this grid timer has been very, very kind to me. A little bit of a jog down to Wayne Burke, but not too far, mate. You'd be very, very happy with this qualifying effort. P10 for you. How much effort was split between race and qualifying practice this week? Because track position, if this was a wet start, would have been vitally important.
It's definitely I reckon 50-50 split this week. Definitely put more focus into qual than I sort of have before. And as you say, if this was going to be a wet start, you just got to be out of the spray. Like, the spray's pretty bad. So, yeah, put a fair bit of effort into quality. I'm pretty happy with P10, to be honest. It's been a sort of rough start to the year for us. But, yeah, sort of trying to turn it around now. Detroit was good. Unfortunately, I missed Spa, but, yeah, that's good to get P10 and hopefully kick off the second half of the year good.
Right, in terms of the balance, then obviously the qualifying car was great. If the heavens do open, do you think you've got a good race car? How much of this race car was actually focused on a heavy wet setup, and how much is a dry setup? Is this a nice hybrid? Is it somewhere in the middle, or is it leaning more on that wet?
It's full dry, and I'm just going to throw wets at it and send it. I did a fair bit of testing in the wet, and obviously I've got a bit of wheel rod background in the wet too. So yeah, did a fair bit of testing and just decided to. Especially now we've seen the forecast, it looks like a dry car's the way to go.
Yeah, certainly for that, mate. Well, hopefully you've picked on the right end of that one. Best of luck, get the head down and see what you can do from inside the top 10.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, guys.
Righto, that is it. Qualifying results are in the book. The rain, the heavens, they have not yet opened. And that is the live weather radar. There is not a lick of weather. You're going to see rain on that radar start to appear maybe 15 to 20 minutes prior to before it hits the racetrack. It could come from any direction. I can tell you the wind is coming from the southwest at the moment. So we should see in the bottom left-hand corner of that radar will be the big key. But for now, Sam, we sit back, we watch, we wait. It's 0% chance of rain at the moment. But in half an hour's time, we start to see whispers, 1%, 3% chances of rain. It's increasing from there, and then it ramps up dramatically. I think we are going to see rain, but it's not a lot. We were expecting to have a wet start, and we've definitely not got that.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of the teams would have been, thinking about. Obviously having their cars ready for obviously a wet start, but not even the weatherman can predict weather. So what chance have we got? So we've given it our best shot, and we'll see what happens. But there's a pretty good chance that this race won't finish in the dry. But let's just wait and see.
Yep. We have got about 30 seconds before we're on for our race start here. Will the weather start to come down? Will it be a dry race here from Road America? Elkhart Lake, all the drama that happened at the start last year. Griffin Gardner was over the moon to put the car on pole position. He moved to the Lobs Esports outfit. That was his first ever race for the team. This year flying the flag for Chiefs Esports. Might be too upset with the qualifying position, but definitely some work to do. Who's got a wet car? Who's got a dry car? There are so many questions to ask. There are so many questions to answer. And as the cars get ready to set off for turn number 1, here we go! Road America, what's it got for us? Who's got the launch? Well, Phil Sell got a great getaway, but Josh Anderson did not. Gilliam's managed to pick up one spot off the start, immediately having to defend from his teammates. So it's going to be Lobs Esports 1 and 2 on the run to turn 1. Anderson drops in, Myers, Madison down, and then it's going to be back to James Scott for next of those cars. He's lost one spot off the start as well. Do they all get through turn number 1 okay? Yeah, relatively okay. Still side by side, back deeper in the pack to run out of turn 3. And this is where they'll line themselves up. Drive off here. Can they get the car pulled up nice and accurately? Is that Rosella looking for a little bit of ground deeper in the field as well?
So Josh Anderson, like you touched on, he's thankful that he's got teammates behind him. He didn't get the best start, so they were nice and kind. They all managed to get in line of stern, but now it's a run into this braking zone. Good camera angle from here gives you the exact line. You can see when it starts to get a little bit messy, when they're side by side, everyone giving each other plenty of room on this opening lap. Great to see from the entire field.
Yep. And now there'll be a few people starting to ask some questions of themselves. How long can we run this car? Every little bit of discussion I heard was if the rain starts to come down, you need to straight onto a wet tyre. So that would be in everyone's thinking. This is a little bit of boxing going back in. this will be the back of the top 10. Was that Wayne Burke or is that Jacob O'Reilly? I think it might be O'Reilly in the thick of it there with Andre Heimgartner at the moment as they cut their way through the carousel on lap number 1.
So Heimgartner's dropped himself a couple of spots just off the start. But, oh, look at the contact just in front of him. The couple of cars, it was his TTR teammate there, just making contact with that O'Reilly. So Stenberg and O'Reilly, they were having a little bit of a wiggle, but they've all managed to get on with it. But for the most part, it's been relatively clean.
Run down to Canada Corner on lap number 1. Feed themselves in. Look at the battle pack that forms. And I tell you what, Damon Woods is just fired down the inside. I think Kurt Stenberg down there as well. Is that O'Reilly getting shuffled out? No, that's one of the other Vermilion cars. Then Postlethwaite's got some work to do from the rear of the field. The other thing I'd be saying, Sam, is if you're at the back here, fuel save. Because if you can get all the way to that crossover point, you just cut yourself a stop out of your race.
Yeah, well, you know, they've still got their pit stops to think about, but yeah, you're right. So that's obviously something that they can have in their back of their mind. And of course, if it does start to rain, it's all about your track position and when, you know, who can get to the lane first at the right time. So you might see that the track could be sort of dry at one point and then the leaders get past the entry pit lane. If you're down the back and it really starts to pour down, that's when you can put on the wets and make up a huge advantage as well. So there's two benefits of fuel saving, hanging back a little bit, but especially with the rain that could possibly come, that could really work in their favour.
Yeah, Adam Briggs has managed to grab a couple of spots in the opening lap. That's who we were looking at just there a few moments ago. And I just wonder if we watch this onboard shot, how much fuel are these guys saving? Are they fuel saving? Will be the big question that we'll be asking, and we'll be critical for that because 17.2 laps of peak speed dry running. Whether or not you see somebody look to go 18, 19 laps, bring themselves a little bit deeper into the race. Like we said, still 2 compulsory pit stops, regardless of what happens with the wet tyres.
Which is good. I like that strategy. You know, we see that in Formula One, if it's a wet race, I don't have to worry about that. But I still like, regardless of what happens with the weather, you still need to come down pit lane twice. I think it's a great rule that we have in our series. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. You know, this is where teams, it's crucial that you've got your driver, but you've got possibly a spotter within the team, and you've got someone that might be either crunching numbers for fuel numbers, but maybe keeping an eye on the skies too, because that's what you want someone to do, is actually be able to pay attention to maybe what's coming as far as weather, because then that's one thing that you got less to worry about as a driver. You can just focus solely on who you're racing and getting the speed out of the car.
I think one of the big things will be is when does the crossover happen, and that communication between spotter and driver, or engineer and driver, or in the case of, you know, you've got a few drivers all working together in team outfits. They might have a couple of engineers across, you know, 5 or 6 drivers giving them the call. Don't forget as well, thinking about pit stops, thinking about what you do with the tyres, whether or not you change the tyres. Could you imagine if you look to set your first pit stop up now and go, oh, we're definitely going to be on a dry tyre, and you come into the pits and go, oh, I've forgotten to switch over the wet. Somebody's dived in at the back end of the field. So somebody has already dropped a pit lane, Dylan Pereira.
Okay.
So remember, that's because he blew the engine in qualifying. He's electing to jump out of the queue.
Yep.
And he reckons that he's got better pace on his own.
Well, the CPS window's open, so that can count as one of his own. So, oh, here we go. It's getting a little bit saucy here. Nowhere to go. That's the trouble too when you see cars getting side by side here and you've got to run. No way they're going to think about 3 wide here. Hopefully not. Everyone's a little bit smarter and wiser, thankfully. But, oh, it's a good run into the braking zone. They're giving each other plenty of room. But, man, how easy it is for that to come unstuck. Everyone really did well in that situation.
It's Andre Heimgartner just using his head a little bit. I'm not one of those drivers that does this for a living in a supercar. All around here, I'm really, really curious to see whether or not he can bring something to the table in terms of the wet stuff. And I can tell you, I've been listening into Madison Down and listening very, very heavily. He is using the clutch at every available opportunity. He was on the clutch trying to save fuel through the entirety of the carousel just then as well. So he is mega, mega saving early on to try and stretch this first stint out. We've had an issue for Dylan Rudd on the opening couple laps as well.
Big braking move up the inside. He's not going to lock it up. He did. Oh, he's held on to it, though. He's given up a couple of spots, but he's still pointing in the right direction. Heart and mouth stuff.
Oh, on a little bit of contact with his championship rival from last year, Rick Kuznetsov, but still pointing in the right direction, and that is the big key thing. Phil Sells looking to punch away front end of the field. Hasn't been able to do very much with that at the moment. Ethan Grigoltz found himself 3 spots. Zach Rattray White's also on the move. He's +4, so qualifying not working well for a couple of drivers. Adam Briggs +4. Kobe Williams +6 deeper in the field. The drivers that are on the move. Have a look at them 2x2 deeper in the field as well.
Says a lot for our series when you got the likes of like Andre Heimgartner, who's obviously racing in the real world supercars, but to be part of our championship, and we've seen no shortage of supercar, like real world supercar drivers in our series over the last few years, and even behind the scenes with the Lob Sports, you've got the likes of Brady Kostecki and Shane Van Gisbergen who help in the background. You know, it's things like that. You hear those things that happen with these teams, and it brings a lot to what we've created here with the Logitech G Pro Invitational.
Yeah, that's it. It brings a lot to us. Andre Heimgartner is continuing to be on that slide at the moment. Briggs is going to get down the inside of him as well. So he's just being very circumspect about how he's fighting at the moment. He's not trying to, he's not waving the white flag, shall we say. He's making them earn it, but once they get down the inside, he's not fighting it particularly hard either.
It's early days. What are you talking, like 4:35? So, you know, it's all calm and beautiful at the moment. We're not seeing threatening skies really at this stage, but if that all changes, you know, you want to be there at the end. Buying a ticket to the end, we always say in endurance racing, but it goes to the point here as well. You know, everyone needs to be putting themselves in a position, and like you touched on, when we look at Madison Down on screen, you said he's already at the point where he's clutching and saving fuel, and so it's not a necessity, but it's something that he's got in the back of his mind that could benefit him as this race goes on.
So I just decided just have a little bit of a look at things and have a look at and crunch some numbers, by the way. I closed down the weather tab for 2 moments and I opened it back up again. Weather in sort of the next 3/4 of an hour has died off, but after that the percentages have grown. So there is a cloud of weather that looks like it's coming, but it's just moved a fraction later than what we were originally expecting from the start. So I'd say about 45 to 50 minutes into this race is when that rain is going to hit us, because that number is growing at that point in time. Tyson Broad gets the inside of, by the look of things, Brian Broad. Job done at the rear end of the field as well. So drivers up and down the field, and again, I just get the feeling this is where you're seeing that split on what they've decided to do in terms of setup.
Yeah, you'd be kicking yourself a little bit if you sort of went for a wet setup, and, you know, if you're talking maybe 80% of the race or 90% of the race is dry, it's really not going to work in your favour. But if we look at this Andrew Gilliam and Josh Anderson battle, and that's Josh just slowly starting to bring in Andrew Gilliam. So leaving his teammates behind a little bit with Josh Anderson, Brady Myers and Madison down there. So they're all not in panic stations at the moment, but looks like the cars are a little bit racy here for the moment for Anderson. So it'd be interesting to see what he does.
Yeah. Curious just to see how that goes as well. Ian Ford's just diving into the pit lane as well. So again, a few drivers at the tail of the field trying to get one of their stops out of the way nice and early. And I think the big thing is jump out of the pack and just run your lap times. There is a little bit of tyre fall off already. Fastest up of the race, Josh Anderson, 2:10.233. And he was the fastest the top group at 2:10.7 on that most recent lap. So he's fallen a few tenths of a second away. Phil Sells not necessarily pushed the tyre all that hard in the opening stanza. I'm just listening on board at the moment because there is some fuel strategy that's playing itself out. James Scott's attaching his way onto the back bumper of Madison down here. Remember, these two failed to set representative qualifying times earlier on in the season and followed each other through the chaos and the carnage, sort of worked together a little bit to claw back some of the ground that they'd lost. Now the next question will be, how much fuel are they trying to look to save? Are they looking for that 18th lap and dry running? I think we're all just on tenterhooks. What does happen when that race comes? Does somebody go a touch early on the tyres? Does somebody go too late on the tyres? And we're going to be just waiting. We'll enter a holding pattern for the next little while until we do see the heavens open.
Yeah, and that's what everyone's doing at the moment. They're happy line astern. There's not too much argy-bargy. There's not too many people putting the pressure on at the moment. Oh, as I say, that little bit sideways. Who was that in the orange car? Just having a bit of a wiggle there. Now, there's a bit of a run here. As I said, there's not too much going on, but then the boys make a liar out of me into the braking zone. Oh, just giving each other a little bit of racing room. Good to see. But they are. The holding pattern's there. They're just trying to decide, like you said, that the tyres will start to fall off. Look at this bumper vision there. Brady Baldwin and O'Reilly, he's right there. Will he think about a move up the inside? They're almost bump drafting Talladega style here. But they just need to be sort of mindful of how this race is playing out, looking after those tyres. You said there's that little bit of drop-off to take into consideration. And they will have an idea of as well in their head as far as what their ideal strategy is if this race goes dry the whole way. We don't expect that to happen. We do expect showers, but you just never know.
Big thing for Jacob O'Reilly at the moment is that he is going backwards at a rate of knots. He's qualified 20th spot. He's back to 28. One of the drivers that actually failed to set a representative time, I think, is Cody Williams. He's up 9 spots at the moment from 34th to 25th. So he had some issues in qualifying, but he's resolving those in the race. At the moment. Last time out, OG Gear Hard Charger Award. Won himself a brand spanking new pair of gloves. It was Teo Serrano. And by the way, new product just come out in the last couple of days for OG Gear. Jump on over to their Facebook page. They've got a new gaming sleeve out there as well. You know, a bunch of Counter-Strike players and all your MMOs and those sorts of things. That's what it's designed and pitched for. But Teo Serrano, he'll take a free pair of gloves any day of the week, I am sure. But good to see him gaining spots at the last race.
Well, he's going at the moment for P37. He's probably on target for another pair if his night goes well.
In the battle pack, Kobe Williams has now cut his way through to the front end of the battle for 25th spot. Next question will be, can he pull away from this battle pack now that he's cleared them all? Lost some time to everyone up ahead of him in the most recent lap, but that was overtakes happening in the middle of all that. Now he'll go to work at cutting the margin down to Sean McNamara. And positions gained in the battle pack as well. 9 spots, like I said, 34th. He started the race at the back end of this pack. He's now crawled his way to the front of it.
Chance we get, I tend to look at the skies with our camera shots and just sort of see, and it doesn't look too threatening at this stage. So, and that's what our teams will be keeping an eye on. You can see that's our weather conditions. So 23 degrees, track temperature 33. It's overcast, but that 77% chance of rain is what everyone's keeping an eye on. You can see from that shot we do have a bit of sunlight. So the live radar isn't showing too much excitement as far as precipitation, but so the teams will be thankful for that. The teams that have actually gone in the way of a dry setup, they'll be thankful for that. The teams that maybe went for the wet route, they're probably not too impressed about that at the moment. But you need to think about this race, and so there's a live picture there of the front straightaway, and you can see there's a bit of blue sky, so nothing too overly threatening. So these drivers and teams need to think about this race is that it's not going to rain at this stage. You know, they've got a couple of pit stops that they need to think about. You don't want to get yourself caught out in the fact that there might be some rain. When you start to see it on the radar and you see it getting closer to the racetrack, that's when you start thinking about strategy. So at the moment, like we were saying, you can get about 17 laps out of a tank of fuel in these dry conditions. So the drivers and teams will need to be mindful of that as we're on lap 8 as they start thinking about that first pit stop.
I was actually just going to say, I have a feeling that camera was pointed the wrong direction. If we look off to about 90 degrees to the right from right there is where the weather should come from. That direction, sort of basically follow this straight down across the track is the direction of the weather. So in pit lane, maybe that camera we had turned at 180 degrees. That might be the direction we're looking up to some of that cloud cover in the near future. And again, little battle pack. I think this is Madison just hovering and just basically trying to disincentivize James Scott from having a look down the inside.
Yeah. And there'll no doubt be conversations between Madison Down, Brady Myers, they'll know whether they're actually trying to push or whether Madison's trying to get the job done. And he'll be saying, look, yeah, I'm moving around. I'm not really going to take a dive on you. But exactly what you said, just let James Scott, you know, think about where he's going to position the car and take that opportunity away from him.
It's a bit just take the options away from it. Make it a risky overtake rather than a much more certain thing. And it just says to the driver behind, oh, I'm going to back out of this one a little bit. Wayne Burke, good to see that remember we were talking to him about the electing for the dry setup. That's working well for him. He's still inside the top 10. Greg Galt's 10th at the moment. So he's gained a couple of spots. He's that next car in behind. At the moment, it's just a little bit of a chill out. Scott's getting closer and closer, isn't he?
It's actually good to see James Scott running like this. He's had a rough truck, you know, in the points as far as the last couple of weeks. He's now dropped himself into P9 inside the championship table. So he really needs a good night and a decent points haul just to sort of claw back. He was sort of inside the top 4 or 5 there, and to be just nearly almost outside the top 10. You know, it's obviously not where he wants to be. So for him just to sit behind Madison down for the moment, he knows he's got himself in a good position. But if that car's a little bit racy, I don't think you'd see him hesitate too much on getting past Madison down.
Certainly looking good at the moment in terms of raw pace. And the other thing is he's not losing out massively at the moment. The longer this does continue, we'll want to get a hurry on. They lost about 0.6 of a second to Josh Anderson down the road on that most recent lap. Kobe Williams is going to come to pit lane. He's going to look for an undercut as well. We are already more than halfway through the first stint of the race. Split it up into thirds. You get yourself about 11 laps. 11 to 12 laps. So
yep, I like it.
Expecting pit stops to start sort of any time now. Which is...
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off, mate. You race for the now, don't you? You know, it's dry conditions. There's no rain just
Oh,
yet.
shoes moment.
Are you kidding me? He held on to it. Heart and mouth stuff there for Scott. We were just praising that he's probably looking a little bit racy, and he might have a think about getting past Madison, but geez, he had a moment there. Lucky to hold on to it.
Just barely caught the grass on the entry.
There we go.
Watch this from the onboard, and watch the wheel work he's had to put into this. Just tips it in too far. Left rear tyre in the dirt was what caused that.
Well done. But yeah, like you said, so the team's thinking about racing for the now. If they're, like you said, 11:22 takes you to 33, so that gives you something to work on if they were going to go 11 laps. But we said that they can go out to the possibility of 17. And we look at the live championship points as Jay's put them up on the screen. So at the start of this, James Scott was in 9th. So where he's running at the moment now moves him up to 8th. So, you know, it's important that he has a decent night tonight. And I'll tell you what, his heart rate will just be dropping down a couple of beats now after that save. It was a hell of a save.
Very good on the wheel work. And Wayne Burke starting to creep in on Griffin Gardner as well. So he is starting to make some gains. He'll actually lift off and save some fuel behind Griff there. So he's also thinking about just running a touch long in this first stint. When there is rain in the area, and again, it's not in the nearby vicinity, but it is coming towards the back end of the race. It potentially could hit the last 5 to 10 laps is what's tracking for now. But you'd want to run along early to give yourself those options. Now we're starting to see Rattray White, Jacob O'Reilly into the pit lane. Again, fractional undercut for both of those guys. And remember, Rattray White was gaining spots in that first stanza of the race. So him getting a little bit of an undercut leaps him a lot further up the grid as well.
And we talk about that, don't we, in a lot of our races, that if you find yourself in a group of cars that you really probably can't get around, if you can get into the lane a couple of laps, you know, before the rest of them, those fresh tyres will leapfrog you in front of those cars. You see on board with Stenny, he's up all over the wheel. So what is he, in 21st? He's dropped a couple of positions. But he's there or thereabouts. And again, up on the wheel.
of work to put in. Those tyres take an absolute beating down through the carousel where we are right now. So
He's listening to the throttle. He was just being ever so gentle. It's a good lap. It's a good lap when you get it together too and you put in a decent time. It's one of those good feel racetracks when you lap around here and it's a fast one. It gives you good feels around here.
Well, this battle pack now down to about 22nd spot. Sean McNamara has just dropped out of it. Just keep pressing on at the moment. Who's going to think about a dive to the lane? None of them.
I think it's like what you said. I reckon a lot of these teams will probably go towards the longer side. And then that opens up opportunity later on too. So if we're thinking that the rain comes later on, then that helps them with that tyre stop. And, you know, the last thing you'd want to do is make that second pit stop and then all of a sudden it decides to start raining a couple of laps later. So if you can buy yourself some time, then absolutely, I think that's what a lot of these teams will do up front, is they'll run them till they're almost dry, you would imagine.
And the other big thing, the big reason for that for the guys at the front is field spread. They do not want to get caught up with traffic whilst they're on fresh tyres. It looks like Rick Kuznetsov's just had a moment. We did see him climb up above Bo Albert and then immediately drop behind Dylan Rudd. So some sort of issue trying to pick up some spots there. And replay on the way. OG gear replay. Well, it's the run down the hill into turn 5 yet again. To the inside goes Kuznetsov. That's Bo Albert. He's missed the braking marker, pinched a brake, runs it deep, does keep it out of the sand trap.
That's crucial. Yeah, he just got a little bit deep. You could see that left front locked and he was just a passenger. He tried his best to pull it up and he got round the corner, didn't take anyone out and stayed on the black stuff. Just lost a little bit of real estate. But nevertheless, he didn't hurt that tyre too much and he's lived to fight another day.
You might think about a pit stop at the end of this lap as well. He's put a little bit of heat, a little bit of a mark on that front left tyre too.
Stops. I'd love to see the likes of either James Scott, you know, pitting before Madison Down and Brady Myers. That'll give him a chance to leapfrog. He's not going to do it this lap, but I'd like to see him do it before the guys in front. That'll help him with track position. And Josh Anderson too. He finds himself right up close in that top 3, and if he can pit before Gilliam and Philsell, just that extra lap on those fresh tyres could do him the world of good. So it's always that waiting game, isn't it, of who's going to blink first as far as teams and, you know, their pit strategies. We look at that, so Dylan Rudd, so he's decided to peel off and get one of these pit stops over and done with. But I do love it when people roll the dice and get that 1 or 2 laps on fresh tyres and jump the cars that are around them.
The big thing is with this generation of car is because the grip is so much more limited, the track time and the speed is a lot more reliant upon the fuel weight that's actually in that car. What I'm seeing at the moment, Jared Philsell, by the way, last lap 211 flat. I was just listening on board with Josh Edison. He is heavily using the clutch as well. So this is becoming a fuel race in the dry.
Well, yeah, it's buying them time, isn't it, later on in the race. So if they can stretch this as long as they can and then maybe stretch the next tank. And then ideally what they'd like to see is if it is going to rain, because there's no guarantees, we think it might, but if it is going to rain, ideally they want to go as long as they can on this tank with dry and come in for slicks, and then go as long as they can in the next one and maybe pit just as it starts to rain, and then put on a set of wets where they don't have to come in and make a third stop for wets if it gets wet towards the end. So that's what they're thinking, I think, at that stage that they're trying to stretch that fuel as much as they can. But how's the distance between these top 3 and then back to Brady Myers? We're talking nearly 5 seconds. So these 3 are looking quite racy at the moment. And good to see that Anderson's hanging in there with these 2 boys. We know Phil Sell's been on top of his game all season. He's won all but 1 race this year. And for him, Gilliam and Anderson, that's basically your top 3 in the live championship points as we talk too, because the way it's running at the moment, Gilliam has just jumped Anderson because there was only 2 points coming into tonight's round between them 2.
It'll be critical between those 2 who finishes out better on track. I'm just listening over the last couple of laps to what they're all doing with the clutch, what they're all doing with the fuel burn. I tell you, Anderson's saving. Gilliam is not. Gilliam is not mega on the clutch on the run down to turn number 1. I can tell you for certain Josh Anderson is. Gilliam actually made time back again on Jared Filsell. Jordan Ross now dies the lane, so the pit stops have started in earnest now. Have a look at the margin. They've both closed in on Filsell.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago that Anderson was about 1.5 out, but now he's sort of within 7/10 now. So the top 3 to be covered by that margin, you can see it on camera. There's absolutely nothing between them. And they're all doing different things in the car. You know, you touched on that Gilliam's using the fuel and Anderson's still tagging along there and saving fuel and clutching. So it's a decent art. It's something that I could never get my head round. It's an art to be able to still go fast or keep speed and save fuel at the same time. I could never do it.
That's the big critical thing, is maintain the speed. Jake Moroney's just driven his way up to the back end of this second group. He is now within tow. He's taken 0.4 of a second out of Madison down on that most recent lap. But these guys are driving their way back into contention. In the meantime, Myers and Dell, I think, are just going for the fuel save. The big question will be is how much does James Scott want to buy into this one? Does he see the chasing pack starting to crawl in and go, yep, might be just time for a pit stop sneak off?
Well, I'm hoping that the likes of Maloney, Gardner and Burke will start thinking about that. It's like if they're starting to tag on to the back of Myers and down, then they might think about having that early pit stop so they can leapfrog these guys. Yeah, you can pick up a handful of positions.
Oh, hang on. Brady Myers has got around on his own at the final corner. No contact. Lost the rear end. And now he's going to have to try and gather himself up. And that is going to be Griffin Gardner, who just goes, yep, I've been walked up a little bit. I've been checked up. I'll dive to the lane. Wayne Burke gets by. Sorry, my apologies. It was Brady Myers. It was Brady Myers. Went for the tumble.
Wow.
That was all on his own. Did he put a wheel outside the track, I wonder?
Or has he been struggling with the car? Oh, no, yeah, he's by himself. Oh, he locked it up. He just locked it up as he got into the turn and unfortunately just couldn't save it. So maybe he was struggling a little bit. We just touched on that chasing pack that was starting to close on himself and Madison down. So maybe he just didn't quite have the pace or the comfort in the car. But unfortunately, it's got away from him and he's had to sacrifice a few positions.
Yep. Well, he's lost all of that. That was all of his own doing. Now have a look at how close James Scott gets to the rear bumper of Madison down. This is going to be where the next little overtake or the attempt is going to come from.
So what James sees is that, yes, he's got Madison down right in front of him, but it's the gap between the top 3 that's nearly 6 seconds now. So that's the thing that would be concerning him is like, yeah, I'm stuck behind Madison down, but that margin is growing still to the leaders. So that's what he needs to keep in the back of his mind, because if he does get passed down, he's got a massive margin to close it.
I think now's the time to drop to the pits lane. This has changed a lot in that last lap since the issue for Myers at the final corner. So now it's time to jump in. You just can't wait anymore.
Well, I think it'd be beneficial for Scott if he did pit this time round, because if he can get a couple of more laps on the likes of Filsell, Gilliam and Anderson on those fresh tyres, then that will help him close up that almost 6-second margin. So I'd like to see him roll the dice and come in and pit before everyone else and hopefully benefit from that fresh tyres. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
That's all we can do is watch, wait for the plan to start to come together.
Okay.
Run into the final corner, out the other side, goes on again. But Jake Maloney will sneak out.
Yeah, love it. Good on you, Jake. I reckon a couple of people rolling the dice here is good. Yep, a lot of teams now have decided there as Rick connects to kick us off. He's in. As I spit and tumble my way through Rick's name. Sorry, Rick. James Scott still on track. You think it won't be too much longer, do you?
No, can't be. Surely not. Maximum fuel tank range on a push is about 17.2 laps. That is not too far away. And we've already seen a good chunk of the field. I tell you what, there's only about 18 cars that haven't pit yet. So we're, you know, more than half the field has already taken their first pit stop.
You can see the stationary time too. So Maloney's still in there at 20 seconds. It's a decent tour down the lane too. Look at that pit lane time of just Maloney. So at the moment, he's gone 30 seconds, but it's a minute in the lane. Yeah, almost. So yeah, look at that.
You can just see everyone shuffling about on the timing tower right now. Pit stop cycles. Dylan Pereira. By the way, Dylan Pereira, the amount of time that he gained is massive. He went for a very, very short stop because he fed out very, very early on. Well, for Dylan Pereira, he's up ahead of Dak Retro White and Damon Woods. And we're hearing Jake Maloney and Andre Heimgartner both had penalties to do at their pit stops. So they're going to lose a little bit out of this first cycle. And Jake Maloney was a 10-second penalty for that contact in qualifying where he got into Rosella.
Well, now he's starting to open up that margin now. So he's got himself just over half a second, so it won't be too long before these guys. So what is it? We're almost starting, so lap 16 now, so it won't be too much longer before they will have to dive onto the pit lane because the tanks will be empty, but these guys are still staying out. Yeah, I would have liked to seen someone roll the dice, especially the likes of James Scott, maybe just to jump Madison down or Anderson to try and jump Gilliam, but they're going the long game.
Yeah, so many cars are continuing on. Top three have continued on. Down Scott, Wayne Burke, Brady Myers, and Ethan Green-Colt in that little pack have all continued on. Then you've got Emily Jones and Luke Rosella. Kurt Stenberg, Lachlan Capel, Hayden Veld, Andre Youssef and Tyson Broad, all the way down to 15. The top 15 still yet to make their stops.
We did touch on that a couple of these drivers were saving fuel from the start of this race. So we're saying about 17 laps, they might be able to stretch it out another lap or two, depending on how much or if any that they saved. So it's not too far away that they'll have to be diving down pit lane just to fill up and take fuel. So we're seeing averages sort of between 18 and 20 seconds, a lot of the teams that are taking on fuel and stops. Chas Rona, he was stationary for 26 seconds, so a little bit longer for Teo.
Really big hit in terms of fuel then for him. That'll be a full car, I would say. Just remember, as well, we're talking about lap speed and the amount of fuel that's in the car can hamper it quite a lot. At the moment, and just watching, just waiting. Just seeing Bo Albert fire on the inside of Dylan Pereira, by the way, as well. He's out there on fresh tyres. And Pereira stopped all the way back at the end of lap 2. This group of cars still continuing on. Leaders of the cars have made their first stop. Going down from Griffin Gardner, so the two Chiefs Esports drivers working together. 2 lap fresher tyres for Griffin Gardner at the end of lap 13. Capel will now fire into the lane. Very long pit lane here at Road America too. Long and slow. Very easy to speed as well.
Yeah, it's an awful feeling too. You're going so slow, but you know, everyone's got to do it, but it doesn't make you feel any better when you're just sitting there on the pit lane limiter and you're just trundling along. But yeah, it all comes out in the wash, but it doesn't feel great when you're so used to going fast on track and then you spend all that time on the limiter.
New fastest lap of the race too for Dylan Rudd. So fresh tyres working well.
Here we go. So this is what we were touching on. Look how slow it looks. You see the rest of the drivers down the front straight, And then you get to this cone, you're like, you beauty.
Feedback immediately from the blue cone as well, back out on the racing line. So people will have some work to do. I believe that's Ryan Jones to his inside, outside. He will get back down the inside of and clear immediately. And the front tyre's not perfectly up to temperature as of yet. Nice and artfully done, at least for now. What from Jones one? I reckon that was a bit of a signal.
Yeah, I think just mucking around, but oh, there's a car in front. There's a gone in front of him. Who's that?
Kobe Williams.
He held onto it. Kobe Williams. Massive moment. Lucky not to end up in the sand trap. We just saw it out of shot that he just got sideways. So again, whether he got the left rear onto the grass coming into the turn, I'm not sure, but man, that thing got away from him.
Leaders are going to dive into pit lane as well, and it's going to be Jared Philsell who's going to be the first one in there, and that looked like an early downshift for Kobe Williams. Locked up the rear tyres. Cars that are continuing on. Andrew Gilliam, Josh Anderson, Madison down, Brady Myers. Still continuing on without making their first stops.
I think it's a benefit for Philsell just coming in where he gets that extra run on fresher tyres. So they're just stationary at the moment. Jared Philsell, James Scott, Wayne Burke, Kurt Stenberg, they're all in the lane. So, and there's Jared. He's up and away. And so now he just needs to be mindful. Oh, a little bit of a tight run at the end there. So James Scott coming out there. But it's now just coming into turn one and just trying to be as brave as you can, because those tyres just need to get up to temperature a little bit. It'll only take them a few corners and then they'll be right there. But Brady Myers, he's got his hands full here. Ethan Griggolt right behind him, looking a little bit racy at the moment. So nothing in it between these guys. Still yet to stop.
I thought for sure when Brady Myers had that moment, he would have been one of the first guys to dive in. You put a mark on the tyre, you generally want to get rid of them as quickly as possible. But no, he's going to actually be at the back end of the run. Already past that 17-lap stint we were talking about too.
Yeah, so they've gone well. They've done well on saving fuel. You'd imagine it probably this time by, especially if the likes of Jared Philsell have already pitted, you'd think Gilliam and Anderson will be in this lap, because you don't want to give him too much rope. And that's exactly what they do. So they'll fire straight into pit lane. So you would imagine everyone would be there or thereabouts now, especially just as far as fuel. They probably just haven't got enough to go much further. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Almost everyone up the front, exactly everyone is all in. So you'll be looking back to the likes of where Jared Philsell is on the racetrack. And this is a great camera angle because it does show you everyone in the lane, but it shows you the front straight away, but they're not quite there yet. These guys still yet to make their stop. He's going 19 to 20 laps, so that's Yusuf.
Yeah, he's been very, very long on the fuel as Andre Yusuf. And Hayden Veld is the recipient of a speeding in pit lane penalty. That will send him tumbling down the order, and he will have a very lengthy pit stop in that box.
Yeah, you feel for him. It's so easy to do. And here we go. Is that Philsell? So he's... Oh, it's going to be close on exit, but Philsell's got this pace. Look at the margin that they've opened up. So Gilliam... We're seeing that Anderson took 3 seconds more fuel. Oh, just didn't quite get the car turned in. Again, cold tyres. So he's going to drop a spot there to his teammate, but live to fight on another day. But the gap that Philsell and Gilliam have got, that's a 3 second margin back to Down and Anderson. So nice little game for those guys.
Keeping an eye on the weather too. First opportunities. What are we in about 15-minute time for you as well. James Scott, we're hearing, might have had an issue. So he's just feeding back in as a part of this battle pack. Tips it in, gets out left-hand side tyres on the marbles. Skates it wide at turn 1. He was on for a great night too. And have a look at the junkie drag back on there as well.
Yeah. We touched on that a little bit earlier, that I thought it was crucial that James sort of has a decent result tonight, because he struggled a little bit as of late and starting to drop down the order a little bit in the points. But still time. It's only lap 19 of 35. But up front, Gilliam, and look at this, their pit stop time. So in the pit box for Gilliam, 20.7 seconds. Anderson, 23.3. So just a little bit more fuel on board for Ando.
Oh, big moment. Brady Myers just went off at the kink. I tell you what, Ethan Green-Golds just had to go underneath him as they come down the back straight away. Run down the Canada corner. Wayne Burke's going to get involved in this one as well. Lets him in. He got cut a break there to Brady Myers, and I tell you what, Green-Gold nearly ran right over the top of him.
And we go to the OG Gear replay. Oh, he's out on the grass. Man, lucky to hold on to that.
And that was Green-Gold. You saw how close he was to him. That's worth really a look from Green-Gold's onboard shot. Just have a look at how rough that was for him to try and pick up.
Plenty's happened tonight. Our friends at OG Gear have had their fair share of exposure tonight, haven't they? Our replays again, as we go to the OG Gear replay, they've been coming thick and fast. You can see him just gone wide onto the grass. Look at it kick sideways. But again, nice little move. Gets the job done. It's not the first mistake we've seen from him tonight, so things just not quite going his way here at Road America.
Look at he's put a left tyre and left-hand side tyres in the marbles, and it's just been, he missed the turn-in point by a foot. Forget it, because you are going to be so wide and have less grip as a result.
Strange though, we're not used to seeing these little mistakes from Brady. We touched on that. Jared Filsell's won almost everything. The only other person to win a race this year is Brady Myers, and just seems to be struggling tonight. He's made two little mistakes that have cost him a little bit, but look, he's still there or thereabout.
Starting to see some of that cloud cover hitting the circuit in earnest, as we're just before 4 p.m. sim time, and the temperature is starting to fall off. We saw a little bit of a rise of it earlier on, and now it's coming away. Because again, some grip conditions are changing dramatically. Kobe Williams to the inside of Ryan Jones, and Jones will be out on the marbles. And be left with very little room to cut his way through on that one.
At the start of the race, we tried to touch on some of our best weather forecasting skills, and we said around the 4 p.m. mark it was going to be probably a probability of about 42%. And then as it got sort of towards the end of the race, it was going to jump up to maybe around 63%. But for the moment, there is still a little bit of sunshine that you can see on the racetrack. And that's not bothering these guys. Filsell and Gilliam now got that margin to nearly 5 seconds over Madison Down and Josh Anderson.
Just seen Ethan Green-Gold have a half moment felt like reminiscent of what Myers did, but just very, very minor in comparison. Andrew Gilliam goes ahead and sets the new fastest lap of the race. Things working well for Gilliam. This one deep in the field in Ford. That'll be his second pit stop, you know.
So let's get his second one over and done with. And that'll be enough for him to get home with 15 laps to go. So he's pulled the pin. The only thing that will hurt him is if it does start to rain, he has to make another stop for tyres for wets. But you race for the now. For the moment, the rain's not anywhere in sight. So you race like this thing is going to go dry right to the end.
I know I'm asking for a lot, but I'm just sitting here and I'm going, somebody pop an engine, somebody give us a safety car, because
wow.
a safety car would push us 10 minutes back, and we definitely hit the rain then. So,
OG Gear replay, moving under brakes. Oh, they both gone a gutter. A little bit cheeky. There was movement there in the braking zone. And again, look at all the marbles and the garbage that they bring back onto the racetrack. That's a massive feature that iRacing's introduced. It's a bit of a game changer because it does take a few laps for that racetrack to get cleaned up. So a brilliant addition to the iRacing service, but it keeps all our drivers on their toes, I tell you.
Yeah, you go to turn in one lap and the grip's just not there. It's about keeping your eyes down the road as far as you can and studying the racetrack as it's coming at you so you make decisions before you get there. In the meantime, Adam Briggs harassing Kurt Stenberg and being harassed by Dylan O'Shea respectively. Just wonder how good the pace up front is. Andrew Gilliam, I think, has just gone through for the race. We're going to change from the race lead here.
There you go. So Gilliam feel a little bit racy. It looks like maybe... is Jared just rolling out of the throttle? Oh, he's moved over. So teammates, Jared doesn't have too much to worry about. He's got himself a nice little buffer in the championship. I don't think he worries at the moment the way they're running at the moment, but it's probably his chance where Jared can probably sit behind and maybe save a little bit of fuel behind his teammate. They know they've got 5 seconds margin up the racetrack, so possibly that's what they're doing, maybe saving a little bit of fuel between each other. Who knows?
Next question will be is where does Anderson pop out in all of this? Has he been fuel saving? Now remember, the margin between them in terms of fuel is 3 seconds-ish, with the margin on the racetrack's blown out to about 5 seconds. From Josh Anderson to Jared Filsell, who now sits in second spot.
Well, Fernando that came out of the pits, didn't he, and just sort of understeered at turn 1, so that's probably where he lost the bulk of his time, and that's where Madison got past him. So that wasn't obviously ideal, but you know, he's in a situation now, like I said, he can save that fuel again. It's all about racing with 14 laps to go, and whether this racetrack stays dry or not. I'm surprised. I didn't expect it to be this dry, this long. I did expect the rain a little bit earlier, but again, we say even the weather forecasters can't get it right, so what chance do we do? We just go off the best information we've got, but unfortunately the weather's changed a little bit, so it hasn't arrived as early as what we had thought.
And already through the 14 laps to go to become 13, so we've got about 25 minutes left. Somewhere about 28 minutes-ish. Where does that get us through? There would be, in the last 15 minutes of the race, we would have a 50%-ish chance of rain. That's going to come right at the back end of the race, though. But it does start to pick up in about 15 minutes' time. Tell you what, we could be on for a grandstand finish. If we see rain in those last 3 laps, there will be a case to be made of, do you come to the pits? Because it is a long, long pit lane, but you are taking a big old risk.
Yeah, anyone who's, you know, tested out the slicks on a wet racetrack, it's not much fun. You don't get too much speed out of it. And in the real world, you can normally end up tasting hospital food. But in this case, you're probably just going to lose so much track time. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see if someone does roll the dice, because like I said, the closer we get to the end of this race, the more chance they might take that gamble and stay out on slicks.
This is really interesting, actually, at the moment, this little battle grouping we're watching. Dylan Rudd was a 52-second pit lane transit, then Postle Flex and jumping for his final stop too. And Griffin Gardner's probably got the longest drink of fuel on board of a lot of this group. And Damon Woods is the lightest at the moment. And that is pit stop times. 18 seconds stopped for Dylan Rudd. Damon Woods actually stopped for 7/10 longer than Dylan Rudd. So Rudd had a bad pit lane transition. That says to me. And Bo Albert's creeping out of the background of these guys. So he will gain net 2 spots out of this. Damon Woods has got a very, very quick race car at the moment compared to Griffin Gardner ahead of him.
Catch-22, isn't it? At that point where you know you've got pace, but do you get the job done and try to push on, Oh, we're seeing pit stops happening. So Brady Myers, he's rolled the dice and gone in for an earlier pit stop, earlier than what we assumed. Dylan Rudd also in the lane. So we're going to see a little bit of strategy play out. And again, race for the now. These guys are just going to roll the dice, put on those fresh tyres and see what they can gain out of this. Love that people are rolling the dice.
Sean McNamara is going to pull over to the inside of Brenton Hobson. Just heard a little bit of contact for Jack Widdis on the most recent lap as well. The stewards have been asked to have a look at something. They've actually had a fairly quiet night at the office. And Andre is just going to get to the inside of Widdis and basically run him out of real estate.
Potential to be a lot worse, didn't it? Like he just threw it right in there, but got away with it. So Brady Myers has rejoined the racetrack. 133rd, but that's all obviously going to play out a little bit differently once everyone else dives to the lane.
That will be the big key.
But he's got fresh tyres, he's got clear racetrack. So we touched on earlier that he has made a couple of mistakes tonight, but hopefully now he can just sort of focus on what he's got underneath him and just hit his markers and maybe make up some of that margin that he gave up earlier in the night.
I do just wonder who is going to go towards the back end of this race and maybe do a splash with a couple laps to go.
I think what some of these teams would possibly think about is, if they can go the distance, what about rolling the dice? If they get right towards the end of this, don't even put on tyres, just a quick splash of fuel and get going again.
Well, that was the risk, wasn't it? If the heavens didn't open, what have you got for us? Rain percentage has dropped away again for about 12 minutes from now.
Well, the sun was out in the back part of this racetrack, so I'm kind of thinking with 11 laps to go that if we do see any rain, it's probably not going to be enough to affect the race. I think we're probably going to see a dry run. So for these guys, run it right till the end and just come in, quick splash, no tyres, and just get on with it.
Ryan Jones is diving into the lane. Kobe Williams is now in. Andre Youssef all diving into the lane. Griffin Gardner's now in as well. Rattray White is in. Righto, final round of pit stops have started in earnest. Reed got back out ahead of Brady Myers too, which will be critical. But Greg Gott will have cold front tyres at the moment.
For our leaders, about 7 laps or so since their last pit stop. So they've still got decent rubber underneath them. Yes, obviously it does give up after a few laps, but the thing that the Field Cell and Gilliam have got in their favour too is that 5-second margin up the road from Down and Anderson. So even if Down and Anderson come in and put on tyres, if the likes of Gilliam and Field Cell, if they didn't and just did a splash, they've already got 5 seconds up their sleeve, plus the stationary time that they gain as well in the lane. That's probably enough to see them out towards the end of the race. So they're looking very, very comfortable, the likes of Gilliam and Field Cell.
It's a little bit on a league of their own at the moment, and Phil Cell's starting to get closer and closer to the back. The straight again just lifts off a little bit early. Fuel saves.
Burke and Scott have decided to bite the bullet, and they're getting their pit stop over and done with.
So they do dive into the lane, see if they can't get anything done.
Just a 6.
Again, we're just waiting, aren't we, at the moment? Just trying to see, because I'm still got half an eye on that weather radar, whether or not we'll see it. Where does James Scott rejoin the racetrack in? Will it be? It should be ahead of Brady Myers. Wayne Burke's actually done a really, really good job of getting out ahead of him.
Okay.
Wayne Burke did a brilliant job of getting out ahead of him. He's popped out ahead of the green gold as well.
Yeah.
Very slow stop for James Scott.
Oh, jeez, it was close there on exit. Maybe it's almost our version of seeing who blinks first as far as who's going to pit and when they do. Anyone who caught up with supercar action on the weekend, it was like Whincup and Couchy. They were standing in the lane just waiting for teams to set up. So we don't have that beauty of watching teams set up and diving into pit lane. We've got to wait for the very last second. So we know everyone's going to stop, but when they're going to do it and how long they're going to be stationary for, that's the million-dollar question.
But now, Dylan O'Shea is going to pull to the inside. I think that might be Pereira. No, sorry, my apologies. Adam Briggs. As they fight their way down into turn 5. Briggs will be on the outside and in the marbles with no traction going his way.
Hanging in there in 17th. Yeah, great job. She qualified, was it 15th? 15th or 16th or something? So
yep.
She's still there or thereabouts. And like I said, she's been a mover in the points up inside the top 10 coming into tonight. So it's good to see her having a decent run.
And the field is really strung out now at the moment because race leaders are starting to come up towards 39th place, which will be Hayden Veld after serving his speeding and pit lane infringement. Remains on the lead lap at the moment. Running on top 12 to pit. Well, a fair chunk of them are in this time by. Down, Stenberg, Maloney, Jacob O'Reilly.
Okay.
Wayne Burke's done a pretty good job through all of this, all things considered. And Madison Down will pop out just ahead of him, but Wayne Burke has gained a ton of spots through the cycles tonight. So great drive there for the Willian Esports driver. Cutting his way through. So 8th on the road at the moment for Madison Down. Should be effective 4th spot.
I didn't quite see how long we were stationary for Madison Down, but we're in just over 20 seconds, 20.4 seconds. So he's gone for tyres, the fuel that he needs to get home. Makes me wonder if anyone's going to roll the dice and just do fuel.
Oh, James Scott just got down the inside of Emily Jones down at turn 5. Nearly got into the back of Griffin Gardner on the way through, and Jones is actually going to turn it back underneath, get up the inside. This will put James Scott out and on the marbles as they get through the crest of the hill. Jones will get the nose ahead, but now she'll be on the outside as they flick it back to the right. James Scott gets it loose though, does not get the power now nice and neatly, but Emily Jones will have some more issues. There's been further dramas, by the way, for Jack Widdis. And finally, a lead 2 are going to dive to the lane together. This is the replay of that move. So for James Scott, dives it down the inside. There was just a hole for him to feed back into.
Thought he was going to think about a move up there as well, making another one, but here we go. So Phil Sell, Gilliam, they're in the lane. Anderson in as well. So he's managed to close up just that little bit of a margin, but it is a little bit deceiving, obviously, when you're in the pit lane and get on the limiter. And this is Madison Down. He's the first of our cars that have pitted. So he's now coming into the final turn, and he'll make his way down that long straightaway. And we look at our live vision down underneath, and that's the likes of Rosella, Phil Sell, Anderson, and Gilliam. Rosella's still out on racetrack.
Gilliam got him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
now down
Andrew
to the finish line.
Get it. Where does Madison Down feed back out? And that car weight for Josh Anderson has just not necessarily helped him because he was with that lead pairing, but not anymore.
Whoa. Okay, so Gilliam over Phil Sell, and then Anderson will be in 3rd. Tyson Broad still yet to pit. Luke Rosella still yet to pit as well. But they've got himself a healthy little margin over Josh Anderson now. And now it's just an 8-lap sprint.
Tyson Broad's still hanging out. Luke Rosella's the other one. And Andre Heimgartner are the three to wait on their final pit stop.
I wish the rain was close, and thought about if it started to rain now, can you imagine? Like, people would be diving in the lane and Heimgartner would be in, and it'd be perfect timing for him and Rosella and Tyson Broad. But unfortunately, I think this is probably going to go the distance and stay dry.
Yeah, and that'll be a shame. Because the forecast, it looks so good for rain tonight. It looks so good for rain tonight. There was such a high percentage.
Keeper drivers will be thankful if that wasn't the case. As again, another OG gear replay. It's a nice move up the inside. Gets the job done. It's just a sprint race now, isn't it, boys? Like, it's just going to the end. Luke Rosella, still yet to pit. He's in the lane now. So this will all start to play out now. So we see Andrew Youssef, a 5-second penalty for contact with Jack Ritters.
Tip down the inside. Maloney's going to bang doors a little bit with the 9.5 Sim Sports car of Dylan O'Shea.
Got to be the cruisiest night I think Race Control's ever had. Is that right? It's been quite good for him, I think, at this stage. Wayne Burke, P6, he'd be happy with that.
I thought I just heard you nominate yourself for stewarding in 2 weeks' time.
You are dreaming. I can't even tell you that there isn't. I don't know that there's a figure big enough that would take me that role. But anyway, nevertheless, don't have to worry about that.
It's just happening to Ian Ford as well. Be looked at. Rick Kuznetsov gets up the inside of Rattray White there. So Rattray White's starting to fall again. This will be a win compared to where he started the night, but not working out his way. By the way, Josh Anderson has caught Tyson Broad and is all over him. Like a bad smell at the moment, because that's guys yet to pit versus guys that have completed both of their stops. Yeah, he's just trying to find a spot to get him, free.
Brilliant by Tyson Broad. He didn't have to move over because technically, yes, they're racing for position, but he hasn't made a pit stop, so he's not really in the fold. Go to gear replay, dive up the inside. There's contact. Around goes Teo.
Sorry, that's Ian Ford.
Sorry, that's Ford.
Intact. Point Teo Serrano. Yep. Tyson Broad, you feel he's probably about overdue for a pit stop.
But like I said, brilliant that he just moved over. He knew he wasn't in the battle with Anderson. I mean, yes, it is for position, but he still has to make a pit stop. So he's out of the fold. He could have raced him, but he did the right thing, just got out of the way and let Anderson push on. So he's got 4 seconds to make up over, what have we got, 6 laps to go. So he's got his work cut out for him, but he needs to push on. It's been a good night. He started off P2, so he dropped a position at the start. And at the moment, it's Gilliam over Philsell over Anderson. So that's our Championship 3. Philsell still leading at this stage, but Gilliam in second in the points with Anderson in third. And as we talk about that, that's our live standings as we speak. So it was 2 points between Gilliam and Anderson. So that's now built out to 16 points. So 18 points.
Gilliam does lead the way at the moment. Fastest lap of the race has just gone the way of Jared Philsell. Now there is a 3.6 second margin from Gilliam back to Josh Anderson. So they might be just free to go and have a bit of a crack at each other, because they're not going to necessarily lose, but they can't kick on with a fight between these two. You can just see Philsell propping the car up a little bit wider on the braking zone in the run down to turn 5. Gilliam, again, doing what we were talking about earlier, just positioning the car in a manner that just disincentivizes the dive.
I know Philsell loves a win.
Oh.
Gee, I was just watching there, James Scott. So he's dropped a couple of positions there, unfortunately. Maybe just outbraked himself coming into that part of the racetrack. We'll see an OG gear replay, and that's what he's trying to do. He's got right up the inside there. Just can't pull it up. Pinches a left front. and he's had to bowl a wide, so he's lost 3 spots, unfortunately.
And Brady Myers will lose 1 spot as a result of that, which will go the way of Griffin Gardner. So
I was touching on before that OGG replay is that does Phil, I know Phil still loves a win, but does he want to play the team game and let Gilliam get a couple extra more points over Anderson? We know it's pretty close between second and third between Andrew Gilliam and Josh Anderson. Or does Jared just sort of attack with a couple laps to go and take another W for 2025?
I often think about the story from Andrew Gilliam's point of view as well. Remember, transitioned over to Vermilion Esports. He was driving for Altus at the end of 2023. Moved over to Vermilion Esports for 2024. Partway through the year, jumped across to the Lobs Esports. And it's taken him a very, very long time to come to grips with the Gen 3 car. Whereas Phil Sell dived in, he was quick and he was comfortable very much straight away. Now, we knew Gilly was capable of winning race wins because back in 2023, he did win at Detroit Bel And he looked quick there. He was the quicker at times of this pairing at Detroit. And Teo Serrano's picked up a drive-through penalty for that contact down at turn 5 a couple laps ago with Ian Ford. And bad news, that rain has just about run away. That percentage is bleeding off as we talk. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Breaking my heart. It's easy to say from the commentator's point of view that we would have loved some rain, but yeah.
We've got a car around. Jacob O'Reilly's parked up out of the last corner. There is every opportunity. We might get ourselves a safety car here with a couple laps to go. Yep, they're going to have to call it. There's no engine. See the light?
Yep.
They're going to have to call it.
Yeah, that's in a precarious spot. This is going to bring a safety car. So the drivers will be all aware of this car. Oh, there's a couple of people going to dive to the lane, possibly, and roll the dice with some fresh rubber. You would imagine as we go to another OG gear replay, what's happened here? We've got 3 cars battling for position. Oh, he's going to be an innocent bystander. Bang, he's been tagged in the left rear and he's had heavy contact. And that's destroyed his car. Unlucky not to get absolutely KO'd by another couple of cars there. So, man, unfortunately not over. But there's a fair chance.
Surely, there's no way they can leave this car in the position it's in. The drivers have been made aware. Safety car has been deployed. Yeah. Safety car has been deployed. What is going to happen here? These two have looked in complete control of the race. Josh Anderson slid it out of the last corner. He's going to continue on. So the front 3 have gone through. How many are going to dive into the lane for fresh rubber?
I think you lose too much in the
the
travel down pit lane. You just lose so much time. So everyone will stay out. As much as you'd love a set of fresh tyres, you're going to stay. You just lose too much time on that pit road.
I'll tell you what, they've gone through without picking up the safety car as well. So they're going to continue on for another lap. Because the safety car's been deployed, you can't swap positions. So this just hands a free kick to Gilliam. So this is another lap he doesn't have to defend for.
Yeah, could we finish under safety car? I mean, yeah.
This is going to be a 2-lap shoot. I reckon we're going to get 2 laps.
This brings Anderson into the fold now. He's going to be right behind Phil Sell at the restart. Down's going to be right there. Berkey in top 5. Great run from Wayne Burke tonight. It all started with a terrific qualifying run, and now to be running in P5, and the entire field is going to be bunched up. I said race control didn't have much to do as far as leading up to this moment. They might have their work cut out.
There's 3 cars. They've just dived to the lane. So this is on board of Dylan Pereira. Remember, he had his own engine issues in qualifying. There's the wreck that goes on ahead. Where do you go? Where do you go? You can see he's off the gas left. Tags the wall on the left-hand side. It gets through it.
Yeah, hit that wall. Yep, so everyone's now just rattling around to get back to the safety car. And we're going to cross the line with 3. It could be a 1-lap dash. Jeez, how's the heart rate for these guys now?
Well, there's about 4 guys at the tail end of the field that have dived into the pit lane for the fresh tyres, because why not? If you're back there, again, you've got no track position, you may as well have a crack. You can only gain from here.
Yeah, that's right.
So Serrano is one of them, Ian Ford's another, Hayden Veldgren possibly.
This is where we're going to see the safety car. And we touched on in the G Hub earlier that there was a chance we'd see the safety car, that beautiful Logitech G safety car. It wasn't for the rain. It's for an accident just with a couple of laps to go. But we finally get to see it. It's second appearance now this year. So there was a time where we didn't see it all through the qualifying series. And now she's debuted again. Well, she's made an appearance for tonight. But it's going to be that sprint race home. Where do you want to be? Do you want to be Gilliam, Phil Sell, Anderson? I don't know. I think it puts Jared in a pretty good spot, doesn't it? He's a great driver, as are all of them, the likes of Gilliam and Anderson, Down, Burke, any of those top five. But that pressure cooker situation.
Can we get someone out there with a helicopter just to blow these clouds a touch closer to the racetrack? That'd be great. I get up there and I'm blowing. Look, it's not doing very. I'm trying. I'm giving it all I can out there, Sam, man.
We need Bernie Eccleston's idea many years ago for Formula One. He was going to have sprinklers on the side of the racetrack and just flick them on halfway through the race. So, but no, we haven't seen the rain. But we're going to be a little bit. You can look at that track map. Look how much field spread there is in this. So it might be a one-lap sprint.
Gee, that'd be exciting. That would be exciting.
For us. The drivers aren't thinking that.
No, they'd hate it. Absolutely hate it. So
but then you've got two teammates first and second. You've got teammates in third and fourth. As much as Madison wants to win, he doesn't want to put himself in a silly position where he makes it life difficult for Josh Anderson. And then you've got Phil Solo, who wants to obviously get a win too over his teammate Gilliam. But if they race hard and get themselves side by side and Anderson and Down get a bit of a run on them, it makes things a little bit messy. So it's going to be very interesting how this last lap or so plays out.
It will. It will indeed. And I tell you what, I've just heard the call. We'll be going green at the end of this lap. We will have 2 laps to decide ourselves a race winner from Road America. We came here with the thought that the heavens were going to open. Instead, the impressive safety car has taken its turn out on track instead. It's played more of a part than the rain has here tonight.
There she goes. So the race is in the hands of Andrew Gilliam. Does he go early? Does he go late? I'd love to see him just roll right up to the start-finish line and then start then, but I imagine he'll probably start just as he makes his approach into the final turn.
Well, Gilliam is on the run down to Canada Corner right now. There are 3 cars that are racing around to try and catch the field. Safety car is going to dive back into pit lane, and that means we are in the hands of Andrew Gilliam. When does he go? 2 laps to defend. What are the rest of the field going to do?
There he goes. He's gone.
He's gone early. He's gone very, very early as Andrew Gilliam. They've timed the restart brilliantly. Got a great jump over Josh Anderson. How aggressive is Filson when they get down to turn 1? Got a great exit off the last corner. Anderson's rear tyres were struggling to get the power down. And here we go.
Nothing Gilliam's much in it.
We covered it all the way to the fence on the inside. He'll move back to the racing line. Phil Sell's just applying a little bit of pressure in the mirror. But have a look at Wayne Burke. He's probably the best of the top 5 to have a crack at someone.
Greg Galt, he's right up behind Berkey as well. So keep an eye on Greg Galt. Don't rule him out. And it'll only take a little bobble from the likes of maybe Anderson or Down, and they'll be right in the thick of it.
Draft breaking already going on for Andrew Gilliam. He does not want anyone getting a run on him. And Jared Filsell's going to look to the outside as they run down the hill. This will compromise both of them in terms of braking capabilities. Think about the marbles when we get down here. Who's going to have a crack deeper in the field as well? Front 10 or so, single file down at turn number 5. James Scott might have just had a crack. Actually, he might have been defending from Damon Woods. Would have been the first car that was side by side on the run down to turn 5. Up and over the crest. just about everyone. You know, Adam Briggs was the first car I saw side by side as they crested down there in 19th. He's going to bang doors with Dylan O'Shea. O'Shea's wide. He loses the rear end of it. Hobson's going to come and have a crack at him as well.
Yeah, he's having a look. Behind him too. Oh, there's a move up there, up the inside. Side by side.
McNamara on Kurt Stenberg. And as they come through the carousel, there will be another 6.4 kilometres when they get back to the stripes. Still, it's going to be Andrew Gilliam from Jared Filsell. Can Gill become the third winner in 2025 in a Gen 3 car? It's something he'll want on the resume for sure. And he'd love to get a win away from Detroit Belle Isle as well. He's been quick tonight. He's been there. He's been consistent. Filsell slipped the rear end as they got off of Canada Corner. Now as they come up through Thunder Valley to the left back here. One more braking zone to the right, and then the white flag will be in the air. When we came to Road America, we thought there was going to be rain. Instead, we got a late safety car. Filsell cannot get the power down as they run out of the last corner. Gilliam will run up the hill. He'll go through the gears. One more lap left to run from Road America. White flag is in the air, Sandman, and Gilliam is giving it all he's got.
Yeah, Filsell there, he's trying to get whatever draft he can. He's got the lights flashing to try and put his teammate off. He's not close enough to think about a move up the inside. He needs a nice clear exit and think about a move here possibly. He's going to leave everything. The table is just going to see, is he going to think about a move? No, he wants to set himself up. Is he close enough to use a little bit of a draft into the braking zone?
And for Andrew Gilliam, he's normally an engineer. There's cars off down at turn 1 and tumbling down through the order. But he's an engineer. That's Andre Heimgartner who's going backwards. Normally, he's the guy that's offering sage words of advice. Filsell again looks to the outside when they get into turn 5. That's probably the best opportunity on the lap done. Looks for the crossover. Again, can't find the traction for the rear tyres. Teammate covers him. He was just about there, was Filsell. Not quite. Not quite. Up and underneath the Corvette bridge. Now it'll be the hurry downs. Will he have a crack at turn 8? They've got margin back to Josh Anderson. And again, they look for a little bit of traction. Out into the grass for Jared Filsell. There's still dramas going on at the back end of the field. Gilliam's still got it, but Anderson now starts to close up. Gilliam is covering everything. I tell you what, you might want to add a few extra millimetres to the rear end of that race car, because right now it's the widest that Andrew Gilliam's made it in 2025. The run off of the carousel. They'll go to the kink. There'll be one more major braking zone, one more opportunity. And after 35 laps from Road America, we look to the skies. Instead, we look to the racetrack. Here comes Jared Filsell. He is trying to show. He was looking, nothing on at Canada Corner. Now he'll just try and drop it back in, but Gilliam's wide. He made a touch of a mistake. No overlap. No. Do they touch? No, they don't. Checks up once again. Up through hurry downs. Now, this is it. Last couple corners. Last opportunity. Does Josh Anderson try and break the hearts as well? Gilliam will come out of the final corner. He's probably got enough done. Andrew Gilliam, enjoy it. This last few hundred metres, and you are a race winner in 2025. And Road America puts on another stunner.
Well done, Andrew Gilliam. What a race there to the end over with his teammate and Jared Filsell. That was pressure cooker driving all the way to the checker, and the rest of the field just battling it out, grabbing what positions they can. It's a little bit of a drag race to the finish line for a couple of these cars. But what an absolute cracking finish to this race here at Road America.
Yeah, cracking finish indeed. Andrew Gilliam finally gets that win in the column in Gen 3. He's been coming and coming and coming at Jared Filsell over the last couple of races. He's had opportunities. You know what? I looked at him heading on the run down to Canada Corner, and I thought he's got enough margin here. He actually doesn't need to cover. This will be a tight battle for position a little bit further back. And this is Jake Maloney versus Adam Briggs. We're about to see come to the start-finish line. Of course, it's in slow-mo, so we've got to wait a little while.
Right. And this is it. This is what we were talking about with the drag race to the checker. Doesn't matter where you are in the field, it's always nice and close. Have a look at this. Oh, was it 19 thousandths between the two as they hit the checkered flag. But how good for Gilliam. We saw he had pace. He looked like he was going to be a 1-2 there on the starting grid when Anderson pipped him right in the final moments of qualifying. But he had a tremendous start, put the pressure on from from pretty early in the race as far as racing with Phil Cell. And then, he loops it. Oh, there's some contact between teammates. Don't worry about that. That'll buff out. Spray a bit of champagne on it. It'll feel a lot better. So he drove really well tonight. And tell you what, put a pressure cooker situation with Jared Filsell right behind him with 2 laps to go. I don't know too many people want to be in that position, but he came out on top.
Yep, great job from Andrew Gilliam. Gets it done finally. He had an opportunity a little bit earlier in the season from Detroit Below. He won back in 2023, and he wasn't able to commit as much as he wanted last year in terms of things. Study and everything that he was working on took a little bit away. Now he's an engineer for V8 supercars in the real world, and now he's a race winner in the Gen 3 era on the sim as well. And he will be absolutely wrapped about that one. I can tell you the celebrations for Jared Filsell are still continuing on. They're both celebrating like you wouldn't believe. Josh Anderson will be home in P3. Madison down, Wayne Burke. Great to see Berkey up. That's one of his better drives. He'll be really wrapped with that performance. Ethan Grigg, not a great qualifying performance, but continue to tick away. Griffin Gardner, average finish for him. Did gain some ground, but Brady Myers and James Scott, both of them were looking on for better races than that, and both of them made little mistakes. And again, the one that in the middle of all of those guys that we didn't even talk about, Emily Jones, just finished there. Again, quiet night at the office, but inside the top 10. Damon Woods from Dylan Rudd just outside the 10. So Woods actually gained a fair few spots. Be really happy with that one. Bo Albert, Rick Kuznetsov, Zach Rattray White, Jake Maloney and Adam Briggs. That fight that we saw 19,000 in it, 16th position those two were fighting over. Luke Rosella, 18th spot from Tyson Broad, Sean McNamara to bring it home inside of your top 20 there, Sam, and you take the next 20 or so.
So we go outside the top 20. This is where it gets a little bit interesting. So Brenton Hobson in 21st, Lachlan Capel in 22nd, Kirk Stenberg in 23rd, Dylan Pereira in 24th, and Dylan O'Shea in 25th. Andrew Youssef, Kobe Williams, Jack Wittes, Glenn Postlethwaite, and Brian Borg rounding out your top 30. Obviously, everyone back here would have loved a better day at the office, including Jake Blackhall, Ryan Jones in 32nd. Andre Heimgartner had his fair share of problems and ended up finishing back in 33rd. Jordan Ross in 34th, Brady Baldwin in 35th. Ian Ford over Hayden Veld and Teo Serrano in 38th. Jacob Riley in 39th, 5 laps down. So that's our field. And of course, we didn't have the drama of rain that we all expected, but there was no shortage of action coming to the checker because that late race safety car turned everything on its head, and it was an absolute sprint race with those 2 laps, and would have had the heart rate up on the likes of Andrew Gilliam there, no doubt about that.
Yeah, for sure. He was looking I don't think he was looking too far ahead. I think he spent most of his night looking in the rear view mirror. Righto, we are going to jump straight into the podium celebrations, and the man of the moment. Look, I've got to be honest, Gil, about the only spot on the lap you actually looked comfortable heading into a braking zone was down into Canada Corner, but of course that's where you made the mistake, and then the heart rate probably rose about another 5 or 10 clicks, I think, after that.
Yeah. I was like, I wasn't going to fight Phil Cell, and then that safety car came out. I was like, oh, maybe. And then, yeah, I was just elbows out, weaving 2 laps. And then I actually probably kind of worked out for me, like squeezing Jared up against the entry curve, the second last corner. I kind of gapped him and he couldn't put a dive into the last corner. So I think it worked out, maybe inadvertently balking him at the third last corner there. But man, what a fun race. And thank you so much to the team and Phil Cell battling me so respectfully and working so well to put ourselves in that position as well. We got Brody, Richie, Thomas McMillan working the cans as well in the background. So it's a huge team effort.
Mate, if you were on the radio and putting a call to yourself in as that safety car's feeding itself in, we were just saying, this is normally your job. You're normally giving the advice. How is it to have the shoe on the other foot? Mate, you've got the lead. Just breathe, calm down, hit your marks, you're gold.
I was like, how do we do safety car restarts? What's the procedure? Phil Cell's been dominating us for too long. I've just followed him. So I knew the nature of this track. I had to do something different. I was like, Phil Cell, like the moment I see race control key up and they say safety car in, we're just going. And I think it worked a treat. It gave us enough breathing room to battle for a full lap before Endo got to us. So we could sort of get up to speed and manage everything.
Mate, in terms of things, where does that one rank? Because obviously there's race victories at Detroit Ballisle. We know how close you were, a couple rounds ago there, but to get out in front, I think the big thing is when we talked back at Detroit Ballisle, you said things are starting to click. I'm just starting to get the hang of this race car. And realistically, the proof is in the pudding tonight. You matched your teammate and you got the following. You got the benefit of fuel saving early on, and he had some work to do in that second stint.
Yeah, it definitely worked in my favor. Like, there's no denying it. Phil Sellers a clear 10th and a half a lap quicker than me still. I've still got work to do in understanding managing front tire temps and getting the average lap time out of the car. But yeah, where this one ranks. It'd be a tight second to the Interlagos finish last year. But this one felt like truly engineered to perfection as well. So as an engineer, this was a very, very satisfying race that I'll hold very highly in my memory.
Mate, congratulations for getting the job done. I know this celebration is going to kick on for a very, very long time tonight. Who would you like to give a thank you and a shout out to?
Oh, massive shout out to the team because it's a huge effort and we all managed the race so well. And yeah, big shout out to Whitey's Pies as well for supporting us. Thank you. And just broadcast team, race control, everyone who puts on this incredible event. Thank you guys.
Mate, congratulations. Andrew Gilliam manages to crack a W in round number 6 of the championship in 2025. Now we'll take a step down the podium and Sam Man, you got the opportunity to chat to his teammate, Jared Filsell, out a second spot.
Yeah, Jared, cracking race tonight between yourself and Andrew Gilliam. A good little inter-team battle as this race went on. It was nice and close between you two for pretty much from the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, it was cool. We weren't really sure what the go was with, we knew we had good pace and we couldn't break the toe of each other. So Anderson actually did a really, really good job to hold on to us. And then that other pack dropped off without the toe there. So that made it really interesting given he could actually save a bit of fuel. Gilly saved a bit of fuel behind me and I didn't really have any interest in saving too much. We were just running our own race at that point. But no, it was really good. Gilly drove an awesome race strategically. Obviously, he had Richie in his corner, so they've done the old role reversal for real life. I had Brody in my corner, but it was all transparent. We all knew what we were taking in the stops and whatnot. We weren't trying to play any funny buggers or anything like that. But I just wish my fuel number would have been a bit more accurate in the last stop because I probably could have taken a few litres less and got away with it. But I mean, the safety car in the end there kind of equalised it anyway, so it would have been the same result regardless, I think.
So did that have something to do with, I saw you swapping positions there at one stage, you rolled out of the throttle down the front straight away, that was just so you could conserve a little bit of fuel, possibly?
He had the 1 lap fresher tyre, and the tyre's good for probably 5 or 6 laps before it plateaus, and you just do the same lap time, so yeah, he was coming at me, so there was no point fighting or anything like that. He had the better tyre on at the better time there, so I just sat behind him and saved a little bit of fuel. It was my turn to save, although it was for a shorter time, but that was all good. So yeah, we spent a lot of time with Gilly last night setting up JRT for the first time, so that was a bit of an experience, but he's all set up for future races now, so he has no excuse.
As we approach the halfway mark, mate, you've had an absolute cracking season, won all but 2 races. And P2 tonight isn't too shabby at all, mate. Obviously, you and the team are, hitting your strides as far as season 2025 with the new Gen 3 car. Yeah,
the car's great. I would have loved some wet weather tonight. That would have been cool. It was a bit of a disappointing end to the night, I guess, with the rain just getting pushed further and further out. So I'm not sure what the series organisers can do moving forward. I think I did suggest for them to do it a different way. So it was more guaranteed rain, but I know that they want to leave it open for a bit more chance per se. But it's a bit disappointing because I was enjoying the rain practice. It was I just want to do something different, spice it up a bit. So Yeah, no, it was a cool race.
You might get your wish at the mountain, mate. You just never know
Oh
how the
no!
rest of the season's going to play out.
What
So-
are you predicting, Sam? Are you trying to really wet weather at the mountain? Phil, so really, do you want wet weather at the mountain? Is that where you
never
want?
know.
I haven't actually driven this car at Bathurst yet, and I haven't driven that track in the wet much, and it's bloody hard. So yeah, I'm a bit cautious about that, but no, we'll wait and see. It's one of those curveballs that gets thrown at us whenever. So nah, yeah, it's all good though.
We'll see. We'll see. Well, before we let you go and run away and celebrate with the team, is there anyone you want to thank, Jared?
Yeah, obviously all the guys. Lukey had a little bit of a issue before the race. His powerboard failed, so his prep was a little bit hampered. And then when he got on tonight, he couldn't actually join any server whatsoever. So there was a bit of tech support going on before the race. So he was a bit hampered, but he deserves to be further up the grid than where he is. He's just having a bit of bad luck and a poor run of form because he's definitely quick enough to run and contend for podiums and whatnot. So yeah, as well as Gilly, he's super professional. Obviously, brings that mindset from the real world. So yeah, we I don't think we actually looked at any data this week. We just drove, let our driving do the talking because it was going to be wet and whatnot. That we were hoping. So no, we're just bouncing off each other really, really well, as well as all the guys that jumped in tonight to spot and help for us. Brody, he's a bit hit and miss sometimes. He comes and goes, but he's wealth of experience when he jumps in and helps us all out. And Richie on the calculator as well. That's really good to have him in. And we also had Brad Newman. I think it's the first time this year he's popped in, so it was nice to hear his voice in the background for a little bit. And obviously Whitey's Pies as well. The sponsor on our car, can't thank them enough for jumping on board with us for this season.
Well done, mate. I'm going to have to give those Whitey's Pies a try. I think I keep hearing about them, and they seem to be the talk of the town. I might have to give them a go try. But all the best, buddy. Get ready for Jerez. Should be an absolute cracker. We'll see you next time we go racing.
Yep. Thank you.
There you go. So that's Jared Philsell, P2 tonight. And Scotty, you're catching up with Josh Anderson. He had a cracking night tonight. Came home P3.
Ando, put it on the. We're talking to you earlier in the piece. Put it on the front row, late on the piece. Obviously, there was most important thing that you did in that gridding focus was reset yourself a little bit, and then start didn't necessarily go your way, but you were right there with the pace in that first stint. The big thing I think would be losing some track position in that second stint. That sort of cost you a fair way. Gained it back in the third stint, but by then the damage was necessarily done. But you've been there. You've been best of the rest thus far, and mate. Pace is still good at Road America, but we just wonder if those heavens are open. You reckon you had something for him?
Yeah, thanks, mate. Just for starters, I qualified second at Watkins Glen, and I totally mucked up the start. So I was pretty. I've been pretty conservative since then with my starts. This car's really easy to get wheel spin, and if you get a drop of wheel spin, you just lose 10 spots straight away. So I was pretty conservative on that start, and I was kind of like, if I lose a spot to Gilliam, I don't really care. I just don't, stay in third, don't go back behind Mads and Brady and everybody else. So I didn't really care about that, but just sort of sitting there. You know, the Lobs guys have been mega quick, a bit quicker than us. So I probably didn't be able to save as much fuel as what I would have liked. Like I saved a bit, but not a great deal. But to be honest, mate, I actually lost the time on the pit lane exit. I just underestimated how little grip there was on the cold tire at turn 1 on my outlap, and I almost bolted wide. I was millimeters from going off track, which would have been a disaster. So then Mads got me, and yeah, from there I was like, I'm not going to battle Mads. He took less fuel than me, obviously, but so I just sort of sat by Mads. Our pace was similar, but we knew the Lobs guys had probably a better early tire car. I felt like our deg was good. I felt like we actually had something to fight with on old tires. But yeah, I kind of, the way the race played out, if you've got a third place car, you want to finish third, right? So I kind of identified pretty early on that I had a third place car. So I wanted to finish third.
Mate, I think that's probably one of the bigger things is obviously consistency, because as soon as you start to drop outside that top 3, then it's a very, very quick descent if you can't get yourself locked back in to a rhythm. Yeah, look, from what I'm hearing from you at the moment, it's just you got 99% of the job done, and you're doing that relatively consistency. It's those little 1%ers that are cracking for you at the moment. But the biggest benefit is and you're backing your skill set to pick up on those things. Is there anything you're going to do with the next race in 2 weeks' time to work on those little bits and pieces?
Yeah, it's hard, mate. I've been sim racing a long time. I've been sim racing since I was 14. And I've been on iRacing for a long time, over 10 years now. And like I was pretty good early on, but I was sort of you lack that last little bit, you know. And it's hard. Like racing, you can't force it. You can go and practice 50 hours and waste time, really, in my opinion. It's kind of a hard thing to be like, I'm going to go and do a million laps and get good, and it just doesn't really work that way. Like I remember when I was doing the Porsche Super Cup years ago, or 5 years ago now, I did so much practice for races, and then you just put yourself under all this pressure and you bottle it come qualifying. Doesn't really work. So it's hard to. For me, I've definitely gone better this year than previous years. I think there's twofold. I'm doing more sim racing because I've been lucky enough to be a VRS coach now, which has forced me on the sim. Whereas beforehand, I was getting home from work and just watching TV. But I think trying to really compartmentalize my racing and improve on the mental side, I think that's something that's probably held me back the most in my entire racing from when I was 15, racing skippies. Just bottling it under pressure and sort of struggling with the mental side of racing, and it is really tough. It's a very tough sport. And this year I've just sort of focused about I haven't been seeing anybody. I've just been sort of coaching myself, trying to work on my mental approach, and I really did a terrible job in quali. I aborted a lap that would have been an 8.3, or sorry, 9.3. For some reason, I just thought it wasn't good, and I aborted it. And I was starting to get back in the, oh, Josh, you always screw it up kind of mentality. And I just literally visualized putting that to one side and went and did the lap. And, with pretty big pressure, I went back to second. And in the past, I would have definitely bottled that. So, and then that gives you confidence. You can sort of go on from there and sort of back yourself a little bit more. So, racing's a tough sport, and I've said that a lot. But we love it. I'll be doing it till I'm 50, probably. And, I'll just try to be a little bit better at the next round. I think maybe I could have sent Jared at the last corner because, you want to start to, you can't be a doormat. So you got to get your elbows out, but just wasn't quite close enough. So that was what we had.
It sounds, again, I'm hearing two tones realistically from the way that you're talking about that race. You're like, we had a third place car, we locked in on that third place, we should be satisfied with that result. But at the same time, there's definitely a little bit more, obviously some work to do on the mental aspect. But that says to me, I'm happy and I'm disappointed with the race result at the same time. It's a bittersweet race result, but big points on the board. And for you, I think it's sounds like you want to take it to these guys. You feel ready to take that next step. It's just locking in. Is it now a place whereby, okay, I don't have a mental coach right now. Is it worthwhile going out, stepping to somebody? Do you talk to anyone about this sort of racing aspect away from the sim, obviously with the Toyota 86 and what goes on there? Is there something that you're going to reach out and encompass? Obviously, you coached yourself well through the session tonight, but sometimes is it take that pressure off myself, talk to somebody else about it, come in with a new attitude next time? Is there anything there in that aspect of it a little bit?
Yeah, mate. I actually will be seeing somebody soon. I've sort of engaged that, and I've seen somebody in the past,
Yeah.
because say for me, last year was an all-time low. I was terrible in the 86. I found that car really weird to drive, and I still find it weird to drive, to be honest. And I was terrible. I honestly was ready to pack. I was end of last year. Obviously, had a big crash at Gold Coast. I was really. It's actually a bit emotional because you put a lot into it. But I was ready to sell everything. I'm done with racing. It's all finished. And I've had to really rebuild myself from that. Because you love it. We all love racing. So yeah. But yeah, if you've just got to really work on, say the 86 has shown up things in my driving that are not good enough, my clutch release isn't good enough, my just rifle braking isn't good enough, all that kind of thing. So you had to go, okay, I've got to get better at that, which is good. It's not really stuff that you can work on in the sim because the sim just doesn't rifle braking feels weird in the sim to me. It doesn't feel right. But I think the mental approach, something that you can really go, okay, I'm not quick enough, or I'm not going to beat Jared, but I can go there and put a lap in that I know will drive within myself and just get the lap done. and rather than try to go for a hero lap and spray it and end up 15th or 13th or wherever. So yeah, and I think confidence spiral. You can spiral, but you can also grow. And I think when you have good results, you start to believe that you can do it, and then that helps you the next time. Because racing is a massive confidence game. But yeah, I'm definitely glad I didn't retire, because that would have been a retirement fairly dissatisfied. But yeah, I love sim racing. You guys have seen me around for probably a fairly long time. It's just a good hobby, and it does challenge you in the same way. I also love talking, so my interviews are like 20 minutes long. I can talk the leg off a chair, but yeah, it helps you work on the same things that are required in real life. The execution under pressure, all that side of things. So yes, long story short.
Yep, got to go talk to somebody, get some coaching, and work on it. And that's ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that's intelligent, because it's you don't see the world's best without coaches alongside them, making them ask questions themselves and decide and think about things. It's actually really interesting to talk to you about that aspect of things, because I may not be at the same level as you, but I ended up in a very, very similar. I had a big motorcycle accident when I was 12, and that was nearly where the bikes got sold, and that was the last of it. And I continued on for another 6 years, and I can tell you, had a very good time. I was lucky enough to do that. So, mate, a lot of appreciation for opening up on bits and pieces of that as well, because I can understand what you're going through, mate. So congratulations. Who would you like to give a thank you to for the race result here tonight? Obviously, number one, yourself. Happy with the confidence, but who helps get it done for you?
Yeah, I'm actually running an updated livery this week, just with all my 86 sponsors on the car, just to sort of get their brand out. Obviously, it's a bit of a different audience, sim racing to real life, but just something that I can do to help out in any way. So yeah, massive thanks to Clean Vibes, Pro Speed Racing, Race Chill Innovations, Civil Construction Surveys, VRS. So I work for VRS, so can't thank them enough as well. And then TTR. So we love getting on and having a bash with the boys and girl, and trying to go fast. It's a great team environment as always.
Congratulations, Josh. Good to see you back on the podium, mate. And best of luck in the future as well.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
All right, well, that is going to wrap us up here tonight from Road America. Next time out, though, we head to Circuit de Jerez. Last year when we headed to Jerez, it was all about the tyres. This is what the championship standings, though, look like. We are now halfway through the season in terms of number of races, with 6 rounds complete, 7 races is total this far, and 16 points the margin between P2 and P3. But it's very, very distant. Check that out already, Sandman. 4th spot is already a race win behind our championship leader. That's how dominant he's been.
Yeah, and we touched on it at the start of the broadcast that, last year it was almost in the bag that we thought for Jared, but Bathurst and endurance season played a big part, and unfortunately it bit him. And, that's what he needs. He needs to put that buffer in there just in case. You just don't know what the season's going to play out. We're only at the halfway mark. Still a lot of kilometres to race. So a lot of it can change, but it's really interesting. We're going to really start to focus on outside the top 20 now in our next broadcast, because this is where we start thinking about that bubble. And you look at the likes of Jordan Ross, Matthew Bowler, Lockie Capel, like these guys now need to worry about making sure they stay inside the top 20. Because as this season goes on, if you're not in contention for a title, you've got to worry about the next problem, and that's staying inside that top 20 so you can take part in 2026.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. Jordan Ross just on the outside. Matthew Bowler wasn't here tonight, and he's just on the outside as well. Lachlan Capel was down the rear of the field. By the way, post-race update to Lachlan Capel, received a drive-through penalty, convert to a time penalty post-race for incidents that happened after that final safety car. So it was happening down for him. Unfortunately, he was caught up in stuff at the back end of the field as well. So that's really, really important. Next time out, though, we are off to Circuit de Jerez. Like I said, this one was really, really important last time we came here in the Gen 2 chassis, because there was lots of talk of potentially the 3-stop strategy might actually be quicker with some of the tyre fall-off. Different tyre model. This tyre plateaus a lot more through the middle of the stint. Will we see the same tyre wear? Well, we're just going to have to sit back, watch, and read on this one. Another race coming to you from within July, 30th of July from 7:45 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. But Sam, man, get your tap dancing shoes on. The YouTube chats have been asking to see us both doing rain dances. What do you think it's going to take for a few drops to fall on our screens.
Mate, we thought we were in with a chance tonight, didn't we? We did our best weather prediction skills, but unfortunately it wasn't the case. But hey, that's racing. And, in real world, you don't get to decide whether it rains or not. You've got to wait for Mother Nature to play its part. She didn't tonight, so who knows what next round will bring. And then Enduros, I touched on it before, mate. Sandown. Sandown's got one of the biggest reputations in motor racing to be wet dry. So will we see that come Sandown? And who knows what the mountain's going to throw at us. So halfway point of the season, a lot of kilometres to go. Let's just see how it all plays out. I can't wait.
That's it. We have got a lot of racing to come your way. 30th of July, the next time that you will see us in operation for the next round of your 2025 Logitech Pro Invitational. Andrew Gilliam gets it done from Road America, but who is going to stand up and be counted when we head to Spain next time out? Join us in 2 weeks' time as we go racing once more for the Logitech Pro V8 Pro Invitational.
We are gaming fanatics. Our goal has never been to just play games. We think it's much better to feel like you're actually in the game. This feeling is what drives us as we create world-class gaming chairs. Our one aim, give you a brand new gaming experience. Help you move in perfect sync with everything on screen. Make sure you're having a ton of fun. It took us decades to achieve this, and we're still not satisfied. Every day, we wake up to get better. We'll never stop designing the very best to help you be your best. When it's all said and done, our job's only done if you're in full flow and focused on your victory. May you win, and win big.
Weekend in, weekend out, Motorsport Australia officials are making waves. From waving flags, waving cars through pit lane, or responding to a wave for help. Wave hello to new lifelong friends. Who knows, you might just make waves around the world. Ride the first wave. Search Motorsport Australia officials today.